Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Issei Awakened Imperial Dragon. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. At this moment, a trial was underway to imprison whom? Rizavim Levon Lucifer? Euclid Lucifuge? Even less so. The trial was to imprison the hero of the underworld, Hayade Isay, the Red Dragon Emperor, the current Sekyudai, beloved by children as the Dragon Issei, who had been unjustly accused of the murder of many members of the Gremory group, members of the Hakuryuko group, Ravel Phoenix, a member of the Heaven faction, Irina Shido, and also the murder of the heir of the Satiri clan, Sona Satiri, along with her noble followers. Hayade Isay stood before the court, facing none other than the Crimson Mao, Cerzex Lucifer, formerly known as Cerzex Gremory, one of the 4 current Maos. He was accused of the murder of Sona Satiri, her servants, the majority of Rius Gremory's entourage, a member of the Heaven faction, 2 members of Odin's group, and not only that but also the murder of Ravel Phoenix. What could he say in his defense? He could only express one thing. With his hair obscuring his eyes, he felt a surge of anger and a thirst for vengeance as he directed his words towards Rius Gremory, declaring that he would never forgive her. On the other side of the courtroom, Rius Gremory appeared quite pleased, as everything she had planned seemed to be falling into place. But what had she planned? Many might wonder how Hayade Isay, known as the greatest hero of the underworld and the pillar of the 3 great factions, was being tried and why he harbored such hatred for Rius. The answer lay a few days back. The war against Cow's Bridge had concluded with the victory of the 3 factions. Peace and tranquility had returned for many, safe from the attacks of Rizavim Levon Lucifer, who had been defeated with the help of the Sekyudai and Hakuryuko, who had united forces once more to bring him down. With the fall of their leader, Cow's Bridge gradually faded away, reduced to nothing more than a few renegade demons. Hayade Isay thought he would finally be happy with his girlfriend, Rius Gremory, but that happiness was not meant to be. She began to distance herself from the Sekyudai, and not only her but also Akino Himejima and Asia Argento. Even Kiba Yuto, whom he considered his best friend, drifted away, leaving him quite surprised. However, thanks to the support of Irina, the rest of the Gremory group, Ravel Phoenix, and members of Vala's group, Kuroka and Luffy, Issei was grateful for their help. But everything changed one day when he was summoned by Rius Gremory to the mansion where he had trained months ago for the battle against Razor Phoenix. He accepted the invitation, albeit surprised. Upon arrival, he was met with a scene that could only be described as a horror film. Most of the Gremory group members were lifeless. Zenobia lay there, her right leg and left arm missing, ex-Durandal embedded in her stomach. A deep cut ran from her chest to her abdomen, exposing parts of her insides, and her body bore severe burns, as if she had been thrown into a fire. Irina Shido was in a similarly dire state. Her legs appeared to be gone, replaced only by blood and remnants of flesh. Her angel wings were brutally torn away, and her arms were absent, with blood flowing from where they once were. Her skull was cracked, and traces of tears remained on her face. Most horrifying of all, her stomach was nearly empty, containing only a small amount of flesh. Kaneko, the poor Nikomata, had her tail violently removed, and her ears were missing, leaving only 2 holes. Her body was covered in severe burns that looked as if they had been caused by lightning, and like the others, she had swords embedded in her head, arms, legs, and chest. Kuroka suffered a similar fate, with her ears and tail gone, her limbs removed, and where her well-formed chest once was, there was nothing left. A deep cut ran from her face to where her leg had been. Luffy, the young mage, seemed to have sustained the least damage, but it was still horrific. Her limbs were severed as if they were mere pieces of meat, her wand lodged in her throat, and a large hole in her abdomen revealed a gruesome sight within. Ravel Phoenix had sacred swords embedded throughout her body, and her skull appeared crushed, her brain reduced to a pulp. Then he saw Sona Satiri and her entourage in conditions similar to those of the Gremory girls, and his best friend and rival, Sudagentru, was in even worse shape. His body was completely dismembered, his head severed, and his remains burned beyond recognition. With each image of his comrades, friends, and rivals, Hayade Isay's rage intensified. He decided to enter the mansion to find the Valkyrie Rius, who was wounded, her Valkyrie armor nearly destroyed, missing an arm and an eye, losing blood rapidly but still clinging to life. Issei approached her and asked what had happened, where Rias, Akino, Asia, Kiba, and Gasper were. Rius, with the little strength she had left, managed to utter that they had been deceived all this time. He demanded to know who had done this to them. Issei struggled to contain his fury, which inadvertently activated the boosted gear. Rius revealed that it was Rias and the others who had betrayed him. Inside Issei, something shattered, and in its place, pure hatred enveloped him, hatred far greater than what he had felt for Diodora Astaroth. Confusion swirled within him as he questioned why Rias and the others had done this. Rius confirmed the truth, her voice filled with anger. In her final moments, she acknowledged Issei, and his heart broke at the sight of the Valkyrie who had earned a special place in his heart. He gave her one last kiss, bidding farewell to a dear friend and companion. His mind was consumed with a singular thought: Rius Gremory would pay for this. With a surge of rage, he activated his balance breaker. The voice of Drake resonated, asking if Issei was sure about his decision. Issei affirmed his desire for immense power, fueled by his anger. Drake agreed to grant him the strength he sought, unleashing a rapid succession of boosts that were almost impossible to count. Issei shouted Rius Gremory's name with all his might, recalling every moment spent with the girls who had perished and the time shared with his rival, which only intensified his hatred. Each second brought a new boost, propelling him forward as he shattered the door to Rias's room, only to be met with a sight that fueled his anger even more. Inside, Rius Gremory was with Asia Argento, the former nun, while Kiba, the Knight of Gremory, engaged in a similar act with Akino Himejima, the Queen of Gremory. Akino was shocking Gasper Vladi, who appeared to be in shock, but upon seeing Rias and Akino smiling, he understood everything. Issei confronted Rias, demanding to know what she had done to Asia, Kiba, and Gasper. Kiba intervened, warning him not to speak to Rias that way. Issei realized that they had all been deceiving him, not just him but the others as well, and he demanded answers from Rias. With a sinister smile, Rias admitted that it had all been part of her plan to gain more fame and power. She claimed that she never loved him, Akino, or Asia, they had merely used him. This revelation only deepened Issei's hatred and sorrow, realizing that all the love he had felt was a lie. Rias mocked him, questioning who would love a perverted, BRST-obsessed individual, suggesting that perhaps only those who were dead would. Issei's anger surged even higher at her words. She taunted him further, reminding him of Rainier, the fallen angel who had killed him. Issei's fury intensified at the mention of her name. Rias laughed, claiming that Rainier had truly loved him. Issei found it hard to believe, recalling how she had called him useless, just as Rias had. Rias revealed that she had manipulated Rainier, who had a pure love for Issei, but on the day she asked him out, Rias had set her plan in motion to exploit Issei's power. Issei realized that during that moment when Rainier had sought his help, she had regained her consciousness, leaving him to wonder what he had done. She moved with grace, taunting Issei about his feelings for his first and only true girlfriend, calling him pathetic. The brown-haired boy, filled with rage, cursed Rius Gremory, wishing for her demise as he charged forward at great speed. Just as he was about to take a hit, Kiba intervened with his sword, sending Issei flying and causing destruction in his wake. Next, Akino struck him with a sacred lightning attack. Although he felt pain, he ignored it completely and retaliated, sending her flying as well. Asia Argento, feeling helpless in battle, called upon her dragon, Fafnir, asking him to eliminate the Hyudou. Initially reluctant, Fafnir was persuaded by Asia's promise to grant him whatever he desired, prompting the dragon to attack. Issei shouted at the dragon to stay out of his way and unleashed Ascalon, the sword emerging from his left gauntlet. With incredible speed, he struck the dragon in the stomach, inflicting a serious injury. Yet, Fafnir rose again, unleashing a powerful flame towards Issei, who surprisingly countered the attack with one hand. This is nothing, he thought, as a massive amount of energy surged from his left arm, neutralizing the dragon's flames and wounding Fafnir even more than when he felt Ascalon. The sight of a mere mid-class demon overpowering a dragon king astonished everyone present. Asia, shocked, remarked on the impossibility of Fafnir's defeat. Issei acknowledged the difficulty of the battle but insisted that it was nothing compared to what had been done to his friends and loved ones. He charged at Asia, knocking her out effortlessly, and then turned his sights on Rias Gremory. He shouted in fury, attempting to strike her, but as he got close, he coughed up blood. Despite this, he stood firm, recalling that he had the pieces of a pawn within him, which could inflict great pain if she wished. She smiled wickedly, relishing in his suffering. Issei began to bleed profusely from his mouth, but he refused to back down. He was astonished that no demon could withstand the punishment of the evil pieces. Despite the pain, he declared that his suffering was trivial compared to what his friends had endured. Channeling his rage, he sent Rius flying with a powerful blow. As his vision blurred and he continued to spit blood, he caught sight of a magic circle on the ground. A man with crimson hair emerged, and Issei collapsed from the overwhelming power he had used, marking the first time in his life he had pushed himself to such extremes. When he finally regained consciousness, he found himself in a cell within the Gremory clan's dungeons. News spread quickly that Hayade Isay had gone mad, succumbing to the power of the Hyudou. Many believed the tales of previous bearers of the Welsh dragon who had fallen into madness, while others dismissed the rumors as lies, insisting he was the hero of the underworld. However, after hearing it from the Mao himself, most began to accept the rumors as truth. During the trial, Valet Lucifer looked on in disbelief at what his rival had done, while Arthur Pendragon harbored hatred towards Issei for what he had done to his beloved sister. Seraphal Leviathan felt deep resentment as well, unable to comprehend that Issei had caused her sister Sona's demise. In the present, the Mao declared that Hyudou Issei would face eternal imprisonment for his actions, asking if he had anything to say that wasn't foolish. Issei retorted that no one would believe his side of the story, especially since the Mao was a Siscon. He refused to accept the injustice, pointing out that he was being blamed for what Rias had done, and that the evil pieces had been removed to protect the Gremory name. The atmosphere shifted as everyone felt the immense aura radiating from Issei. Even the Mao felt a twinge of fear. Before he could be confined, Issei shouted about true accountability, activating his sacred gear despite it being sealed. The voice of Draig echoed throughout the courtroom, declaring the demon's judgment of his innocent companion to be foolish. The Mao questioned Issei's motives, incredulous at his defiance. Issei explained that he was merely defending himself and avenging his fallen comrades. He challenged Cerzex, insisting that if he wanted to imprison him, he would first have to defeat him. Cerzex vowed to show Issei the true power of a Mao. The battle was set to begin, with the Hyudou fighting against the Mao, who trusted in his precious sister. The outcome remained uncertain. To be continued. Issei was donning his balance breaker while Cerzex enveloped himself in the characteristic destructive power of the Baal clan. Cerzex called out to Hayade Isay as he prepared for battle. Issei responded, propelling himself with his boosters and unleashing several consecutive boosts, striking the Mao in the face and catching him off guard with his strength. Cerzex attempted to retaliate, but the Hyudou quickly dodged, soaring upward and descending with incredible speed, landing a powerful blow to the Mao's head that left the Gale's Dronica Tower in ruins. As the Mao rose, Issei struck him in the stomach, causing him to cough up blood. However, as Issei tried to distance himself, the Mao grabbed his arm and delivered a punch to his face, sending him crashing into a wall. "Not bad, Hayade Isay, but is that all you've got?" Cerzex remarked, surprising many as it seemed he was toying with Issei. Issei, undeterred, declared that he wasn't even warmed up yet and suggested they get serious. Cerzex agreed, releasing a dark crimson energy that represented the power of destruction. Issei began to amplify his aura, which radiated pure hatred and anger. At a safe distance from the fight, Rias smiled with happiness, which only fueled Issei's rage. He shouted her name in fury, and in an explosive surge of anger, he was engulfed in a whirlwind of flames, astonishing everyone, including Cerzex. When the flames subsided, Issei stood clad in a red armor reminiscent of the Red Dragon Emperor, but it was sleeker for enhanced mobility and speed, yet more resilient. His gauntlets resembled dragon claws, and his helmet's eyes glowed red, with the jewels shifting between green and blue. His aura was a deep crimson, and it was evident that he was now on par with the Mao, if not slightly stronger. This energy, this power is on par with mine, Cerzex stammered, unable to comprehend the situation. It's impossible, you haven't even entered Juggernaut Drive or Cardinal Crimson. How is this possible? Drake explained that Issei had entered a state of fury so intense that he had unleashed the power of Juggernaut Drive without actually entering it. Cerzex was bewildered by this revelation. Drake continued, stating that Issei had either matched or surpassed the power of Juggernaut Drive without any cost to his life, thanks to Rius Gremory. Cerzex, taken aback, questioned what this meant. Drake clarified that Issei had entered a new state he called Imperial Dragon Over Limit, where Issei's fury had transformed into immense power. Issei's voice, charged with rage, echoed as he challenged Cerzex, asking if he still wanted to fight. Cerzex responded that he could not allow Issei to be free due to his actions and the attempt to harm his innocent sister. This only intensified Issei's hatred and fury, causing his power to surge beyond that of Cerzex, leaving the Mao astonished. Innocent? That deceitful woman is innocent? Don't make me laugh. She is nothing but a vile liar who toyed with my heart and that of my fallen comrades. Most importantly, she caused me to kill Rainier, my first and only true girlfriend, Issei declared with fury. With that, he vanished in a flash, leaving both Maos bewildered as he struck Cerzex in the chest, nearly breaking all his ribs and forcing him to vomit blood, sending him flying past Rias. She was both shocked and terrified to see her brother, the strongest Mao, being struck down by a mere dragon, which ignited her anger and prompted her to attack Issei. Die, you filthy scum! Rias shouted as she prepared her most powerful attack, creating a small sphere of energy that, upon impact, would explode into a black hole of immense power. The attack surged toward Issei, who awaited it with calm composure. Just as it was about to collide with him, he caught it in one hand as if it were nothing. Impossible! Rias gasped, horrified to see Issei effortlessly grasp her strongest attack. So this is your best attack? It's so pathetic it makes me feel sorry for you, Issei remarked, beginning to absorb all the destructive power Rias had unleashed, leaving everyone present in shock at what they had just witnessed. How could you absorb the power of destruction? The Mao asked, struggling to rise from where he had fallen. Drake responded that it was no surprise to him, as this was just the beginning. The Mao inquired about a new ability, which Drake explained was called Absorb Power. This attack allowed them to absorb the power of their enemies, although it was still incomplete. For now, they could only absorb the characteristic power of the Baal clan. Issei, with a serious expression, declared that he possessed the power of destruction that the Baal clan took great pride in, thanking Rias for her small attack. Rias, filled with anger, retorted that the attack could defeat a high-level evil dragon like Grendel. Issei acknowledged her point but insisted that it was useless against him. He charged a small amount of destruction power on his finger, ready to demonstrate its true use. Rias arrogantly questioned what he would do with such power, to which Issei responded with a curse as he unleashed the destruction power, severing her left arm. Rias cursed him as she clutched the bleeding stump, feeling the pain of her injury. Issei reminded her that it was nothing compared to what she had done to his friends. As he approached Rias, the Mao intervened, warning Issei not to proceed. He enveloped himself in destruction power and suggested they return to their fight. Issei, fueled by his anger, prepared himself, shrouding his armor in a dense layer of his own rage and fury. They charged at each other, their fists colliding and creating a powerful explosion that sent Rias flying. They separated briefly before re-engaging, with Issei landing a punch on the Mao while narrowly dodging Cerzex's counterattack. Issei struggled to adapt to his new form, feeling overwhelmed by the power he wielded. Despite having greater strength than Cerzex, he found it difficult to control, leading to exhaustion. He realized he would need to use even more power in the next exchange. Once again, they closed the distance to strike. The Mao unleashed a destruction blow, aimed at Issei's face, while Issei countered with Jet Magnum. Their attacks collided, resulting in a shattering impact. Issei's helmet broke, revealing his furious expression, while Cerzex was sent crashing into a wall, blood spilling from his mouth due to the strain of using such power. Issei too was not unscathed, his armor disintegrated, and he fell to his knees, panting heavily. He glanced up to see Arthur Pendragon and Seraphal Leviathan approaching him with expressions of hatred, while Rias laughed with a twisted sense of joy at the thought of Issei's demise, despite her own injury. Arthur cursed Issei for killing his precious sister, drawing Caliban in anger. Seraphal, with tears in her eyes, questioned why Issei had taken Sona from her. Issei, feeling betrayed, realized that they believed Rius over him. He called out to Drake, asking for the balance breaker once more, regardless of the risks. Drake's voice resonated, granting Issei the Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker Boosted Gear Scale Mail, warning him that the armor wouldn't last long due to his injuries. Issei, determined, aimed for the ceiling and unleashed Dragon Shoot, creating an explosion that propelled him through the hole and away at high speed, leaving a red flash in his wake. Rias, frustrated, thought to herself about how Issei always ruined her plans, while Asia tended to her wounds to prevent further blood loss. Asia whispered to Rias, asking what they would do about Issei. Rias replied that he had to die, or he would ruin their plans. Unbeknownst to her, Valley had overheard the conversation. Valley pondered the implications of Issei's innocence, realizing that Rias had unjustly blamed him. Albion, the White Dragon Emperor, asked Valley what he would do. Valley expressed uncertainty, fearing that if he accused Rias, he would face the same fate as Issei, being seen as a conspirator in a falsehood. Albion acknowledged Valley's concerns, hoping that Issei was alright. Valley noted the drastic increase in Issei's power, wondering if his new form had surpassed his own. Albion agreed, recognizing that Issei's power surge was sudden and significant. Valley inquired about the situation, expressing concern that the enemy might approach their territory and that they seemed capable of holding their ground longer than they could, which could lead to their defeat. Albion suggested that they needed to train again. Valley declared that he would return stronger, eager to face Hyudou Issei once more. With that, the Hakuryuko departed, possibly not to return for a long time. Meanwhile, Issei was flying at maximum speed, trying to distance himself from the demons. Unbeknownst to him, he was being watched by someone with immense power from another location. A woman, observing through a magical sphere, asked who the boy was. A fairy beside her responded that he was Hayade Isay, who had attempted to contact Shikigami-sama some time ago. The observer was none other than Shikigami, the goddess guardian of dimensions. Despite her name suggesting a goddess of beauty, she was not. With long pink hair, 2 horns on her head, and a toga that left her midriff exposed, she was tasked with monitoring the dimensions to prevent chaos or destruction that could endanger them. As she reviewed the dimensions, she found the one where Hyudou Issei was located, piquing her interest. She felt drawn to him, perhaps due to his bravery in risking his life to prove his innocence or the remarkable increase in his power. Whatever the reason, he had captured the goddess's attention. Shikigami requested information about Hyudou Issei. The fairy explained that he was the current Sekyudai, noting that his growth was unprecedented. He had died due to the curse of Samel while saving Ophis, the dragon goddess of infinity, who had created a new body for him from the flesh and blood of Great Red and a portion of her own power. This revelation further intrigued Shikigami. The fairy continued, saying that Issei was currently fleeing due to a false accusation from someone who had deceived him, claiming to love him while their affections were insincere. This revelation sparked a flicker of anger in the goddess. Shikigami then commanded the fairy to bring Issei before her, surprising the assistant. The fairy hesitated, recalling that Shikigami had previously expressed a desire for solitude. The goddess acknowledged this but insisted that Issei had caught her attention, leaving no room for objections. The The fairy, intimidated by the goddess's power, complied and vanished in a flash. Shikigami pondered what made Hyudou Issei so special that he had drawn her interest. She conjured a magical circle, revealing Issei's life story, which astonished her as she witnessed the betrayals he had faced from those who claimed to love him, igniting her ire. Meanwhile, Issei struggled, feeling his body giving out as his armor disintegrated into particles, crashing heavily to the ground. He gasped for breath, barely able to move. The sealed dragon within him reminded him that using the Imperial Dragon over limit consumed a vast amount of energy, but he would soon adapt. Issei decided to rest for 5 minutes, but just as he closed his eyes, a bright flash temporarily blinded him. The white sphere reappeared, greeting him. Issei recognized the fairy as the assistant of Shikigami and learned that she was waiting for him. Confused, he wondered why the goddess would want to see him. The fairy urged him to show respect, clarifying that Shikigami was the guardian of many dimensions. Issei, realizing he had nothing better to do, stood up and entered the portal the fairy created. Upon entering, he found himself in a blank space, which surprised him. As he looked closer, he saw a beautiful woman seated on a throne surrounded by various screens. Shikigami welcomed him with a smile, introducing herself as the goddess guardian of the dimensions. To be continued. In this chapter, Issei stood before Shikigami, who had summoned him for reasons unknown. He asked what she wanted from him, to which she responded that she wished for his life and body to belong to her. This left Issei confused, as he considered himself an ordinary person, causing Shikigami to chuckle softly. Why is he laughing? Well, Hyudou Issei, you are special, almost unique. First, you are the first to possess the flesh and blood of Great Red and the power of Ophis. Second, your growth in battle is remarkably abnormal. It increases drastically and quickly. Third, I am offering you a new chance to live in peace. When she said this, the guardian confused Issei, who did not understand. What do you mean by a new chance, Shikigami-sama? He asked, his brow furrowed. The new opportunity is simple. You can return to the past and fix everything you despise, like meeting Rius Gremory and saving the other girls. However, if you choose to reject this offer, I must tell you that this is your only option, the guardian explained. Can you give me a moment to think about it? Issei asked. Yes, but remember that if you decide to leave, Rius Gremory has a plan to have you killed. She has used a copy of your boosted gear to eliminate the heir of the Agar's clan, and she has also killed Yasaka and her daughter Kunu. They have sealed Ophis to prevent her from helping you. Do you know what they all have in common? Shikigami asked, and Issei quickly grasped the implication. That's right, they all had feelings for you or a strong interest in you. If you think anyone will help you, like Razor or Serog, you are mistaken. Why do you say that? Issei asked, anger rising within him at Rias's actions. Well, with Serog, even with the brotherly affection he has for you, he does not want to risk his clan by being seen as a traitor. As for Razor Phoenix, his situation is similar to Rias's, but slightly different, the guardian explained. What do you mean? Issei asked, trying to calm his anger. After Rias recovered from her fear, she told Razor that if she gave him her body, he would support her plan and deceive you, the guardian revealed. There is nothing you can do about that. That vile person. But what about my parents? Issei asked, his anger growing. Did you never realize? The guardian questioned. Realize what? Issei replied, confused. She killed your parents before you even met her, as they would have been a hindrance to her plan, and she replaced them with copies, the guardian explained. That was the last straw. Issei was furious. Shikigami-sama, can you send me to a place where I can destroy something? I want to unleash my anger, he said. Of course, I understand, she replied as she created a portal. In that place, you can cause as much destruction as you want. Thank you, he said, running into the portal as it closed behind him. Shikigami-sama, why are you doing this with that being? The fairy asked, intrigued. It's simple. If I don't intervene, he will fall into darkness and destroy everything, the guardian said. Look for yourself at the future in another dimension where I chose not to interfere. The guardian created a sphere that showed the fairy that world, leaving her terrified. The world was in complete destruction, with millions of supernatural beings and humans brutally killed, and she wondered how such devastation was possible. Issei felt a rush of warmth as he gazed at the beautiful goddess before him. He hesitated, unsure of how to express his feelings, but he managed to say that her beauty was captivating, and he doubted any man could resist it. The goddess smiled and created a portal, inviting him to step through if he truly wished to be with her. She added that she was still a virgin, implying that there was nothing to lose. Her stuck tone made Issei blush, and he agreed, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She assured him that he was undervaluing himself, and with that, Issei stepped into the portal, which led him to a room that resembled a hotel suite. He questioned whether he was truly enough for her, to which she confirmed that he was, encouraging him to let go of his doubts. As they stood together, the goddess smiled and leaned in closer, sharing a kiss filled with passion. Issei, feeling the intensity of the moment, instinctively responded, letting his hands explore her form. The goddess, feeling his touch, playfully pushed him onto the bed, both of them blushing with excitement. Issei, feeling bold, offered to help her remove her clothing. The goddess urged him to drop the formalities, and he complied, carefully unveiling her figure. His heart raced as he admired her beauty, and he felt a rush of exhilaration. The goddess playfully remarked that he seemed to need assistance, and with a teasing smile, she knelt before him. Issei felt a wave of pleasure wash over him as she attended to him, heightening his excitement. As the moment unfolded, they both felt an overwhelming connection, and the goddess expressed her desire to deepen their bond. She guided him, and they shared an NTMT experience that brought them closer together. Afterward, Issei lay beside her, resting his head on her chest, feeling a sense of fulfillment. He asked her if she was truly sure about being with him, recalling a warning he had heard about dragons marking their partners. The goddess reassured him, stating that she had chosen him above all others and was happy to be by his side. She had seen his life, his struggles, and what made him strong, and she had fallen for him because of it. Issei, feeling a mix of emotions, expressed his commitment, promising that she would always hold a special place in his heart, no matter what. Once they were dressed, Issei in the outfit the goddess had created for him, he asked her how he could gain more power. The goddess smiled, ready to guide him on his journey. Issei almost forgot that his body had several seals that restricted him from using more power than necessary. The goddess placed her hand on his chest, and in an instant, he felt something unusual. She informed him that she had broken one of the seals. He could feel the surge of power within him. The goddess smiled and noted that his magical power now surpassed that of a high-class demon without the use of the boosted gear, which was incredible. Issei expressed his gratitude, feeling happy about the change. He then mentioned that it was time for him to leave. The goddess wished he could stay longer but understood that it wasn't possible. Issei reassured her that he would come back to visit, promising her with a gentle kiss, which she returned. She created a vortex and wished him well, calling him darling, which made Issei blush. He was taken aback by her sudden endearment and questioned why she called him that. The goddess playfully reminded him that he was her boyfriend, and she wondered if everything he had said during their NTMT moments was a lie. Issei insisted that his feelings were genuine and suggested that if she could call him that, he should be able to call her something special too. He proposed the name Navi, and the goddess happily accepted it. As Issei prepared to leave, the goddess reminded him to eliminate the clones of his parents, as they were providing information to Rius Gremory, which could lead to trouble. With his newfound power, he could simply snap his fingers to make them disappear. Issei agreed and bid farewell to Navi before stepping into the vortex, which closed behind him. Navi called out to him, expressing her affection. Meanwhile, the fairy questioned the goddess about giving her virginity to Issei. The goddess defended her choice, stating that she trusted him completely and would keep an eye on him. The fairy expressed concern about the possibility of Issei being unfaithful, but the goddess smiled, confident that she held a special place in his heart. Back with Issei, he was waking up and realized it was the same day Rainier had asked him out. He confirmed this with Draig, who urged him to take action. Issei was determined to prevent Rainier from being controlled by Rius Gremory. He greeted his parents, asking them for a favor. With a smile, he requested them to disappear, and with a snap of his fingers, they vanished. Now free, Issei dressed in his academy uniform, ready to execute his plan to save Rainier. As he left the academy, he felt the gaze of someone he disliked, Rius Gremory, but he chose to ignore her, focusing solely on Rainier. He crossed the bridge where she awaited him, the fallen angel who had been his first love. Rainier shyly asked him to go out with her, and Issei pretended to be surprised, though he was secretly pleased. She confessed her feelings for him, having admired him from afar. Before she could continue, Issei asked her for a favor, and she eagerly agreed, introducing herself. Amano Yuma, or rather Rainier, the fallen angel, caught Issei's attention. He surprised her by snapping his fingers, creating a dome around them to keep anyone from seeing. Rainier, startled, asked how he knew her true identity. Issei replied that it was a secret, but he meant no harm. In fact, he wanted to help her. Confused, Rainier questioned his intentions. Issei then brought up her recent confession of love, causing her to blush. She explained that her heart began to race the moment she saw him. Issei, relieved that she hadn't lied, asked if she wanted to obtain a sacred gear for him. Rainier was puzzled by the mention of a sacred gear. Issei clarified that it was a healing type that could even heal fallen angels and demons. He mentioned the Twilight healing, currently held by the former nun Asia Argento, dismissing her as unimportant. He assured Rainier that he could help her acquire it, regardless of what happened to Asia. Rainier asked if he was sure, to which Issei suggested they go to his house where he could explain more about his sacred gear. She agreed, and they stepped through the portal he created. Meanwhile, a girl with white hair, Kaneko Toju, observed from a distance. She wondered if the fallen angel had captured Issei and decided to inform her leader about it. Once at Issei's house, Rainier inquired about his plans. Issei confidently explained that he knew exactly what to do and that she would soon have a sacred gear. He revealed that his own sacred gear was the boosted gear, which contained the Red Dragon Emperor, Drake. Rainier was impressed to learn he was the Sekirai, a figure sought after by many factions, including the Gremory heiress, Rius Gremory. Curious about Issei's disdain for Rius, Rainier asked why he hated her so much. Issei replied that it was a secret he would only share when she belonged to him completely. Rainier blushed at his words, and Issei reminded her that he was not entirely human. She acknowledged that she had sensed a change in his aura. Issei confirmed that he was indeed a dragon and explained that if they became NTMT, she would be marked by him forever. Rainier hesitated but ultimately agreed, surprising Issei. As they entered his room, Issei laid Rainier on the bed and asked if she was ready. She encouraged him to take her. Issei smiled and began to kiss her as they shared a moment of closeness. In this chapter, Issei planned to acquire Asia Argento's sacred gear to help Rainier, eliminating one threat while ensuring her survival for a while longer. Meanwhile, Rias was frustrated to learn that the fallen angel had taken Issei, which delayed her plans. Moments before Issei confronted Donasik, Rias expressed her anger over the fallen angels ruining her strategy to bring Issei to her side. She scolded her teammate, Kaneko, for failing to keep her informed, and in her frustration, she lashed out. Kaneko, feeling hurt, left the room in tears. Rias then summoned Hyudou, instructing him to keep an eye on the fallen angel and report back, vowing to take revenge for the disruption of her plans. She couldn't finish her thought as she felt a powerful presence nearby, wondering what it could be. It seemed there was something in the park. She acknowledged that the energy was indeed coming from the park and urged Hyudou to follow her, telling him they could continue later. Akino was instructed to take action, and she created a magical circle that transported them to the park. The energy from whatever it was still lingered in the air. Hyudou asked if she had found something, and she pointed to a spot where it appeared a body had once been, revealing only a few black feathers. It was clear to her that these were the wings of a fallen angel, and she speculated that something had killed it without leaving behind a body or blood. This could only be the work of a destructive force, and Rias understood the implication immediately. She pondered who could be responsible, as neither her brother nor her foolish mother would come to this place. Ageno expressed concern, agreeing that they needed to be cautious in case whatever had killed the fallen angel was nearby. Rias decided it was best to leave, noting that whatever it was could be close. She inquired about the arrival of the nun, Issei Argento, and learned she would arrive the next day. Rias then plotted to use Issei to bring a certain boy along with them, smiling at the thought. She instructed Akino to contact Issei and search for the boy, while considering Kaniko's fate. Rias decided to keep the little one alive a bit longer, as she might be useful. The next day dawned, and Hyudou Issei woke up but found himself unable to move. As he looked closer, he noticed two figures beneath his blanket. He pulled it back to discover Rainier and Navi, both snuggled against him, causing him to smile as he attempted to wake them. He gently called out to them, urging them to rise. Rainier was the first to awaken, greeting him with a cheerful, "Good morning." Just then Navi, who had also just woken up, leaned in to give him a kiss and happily said, "Good morning, darling." Issei was surprised and asked how Navi had ended up in his bed. She explained that she had been bored, watched him sleep happily, and decided to join him. He assured her that he was glad she had come to sleep beside him. Rainier then approached him, asking if it made him happy that she slept with him. He confirmed that it did, expressing joy at having both of them beside him. As he got out of bed, he realized it was time to prepare for their plan. Before he could leave, Navi tossed him a card, calling it a gift. "What is this, a credit card? Why are you giving it to?" the brown-haired boy asked, looking puzzled. "It's a gift, or do you have a problem, darling?" The goddess replied with a smile. "No, not at all. On the contrary, thank you," Issei said, feeling happy. "This card has unlimited money, so use it whenever you want," the goddess said, embracing Issei. Issei found himself in the occult research club at Kaniko's request, preparing to face off against the high-class demons Razor Phoenix and Rius Gremory. "Alright kid, these are my pieces," Razor declared, snapping his fingers. A magic circle appeared on the ground, revealing 15 beautiful girls. "These are my pieces, choose. I have information about you and your pieces, so I choose your 2 rooks, your 2 knights, your queen, one of your pawns, and your bishop, Ravel Phoenix, your sister," Issei said, surprising everyone with his knowledge about Ravel. "Very well, then you will have Shuelon, Isabella, Ubelula, Carlamine, Cirrus, and Ravel," Razor said, gesturing for the girls to step forward. "And which of my pawns will you choose?" I'll take the one with purple hair," the brown-haired boy replied. "Oh, so Burent," Razor said, indicating for her to step forward. "Well, that's all from my side, right?" "That's right, Razor." "And from you, Rias?" Issei prompted. "Tell me who you want, Akino or my new bishop, Issei Argento?" Rias asked, making both girls appear. "I'm sorry, but I won't choose either of them," Issei said, surprising Rias and the others. "I prefer your rook, Kaniko Toju." When Issei said this, Kaniko was taken aback, feeling a bit happy. "That's all. Oh, I almost forgot. Graphia, take them to another location so that neither Razor nor Rias can do anything to them," Issei instructed, catching the attention of those mentioned. "Well, at least you're somewhat clever, but you'll still lose, human," Razor said arrogantly. "We'll see about that, Yakitori. If that's all, goodbye. I'll see you on the day of the battle right here," Issei said, leaving the room. "Alright, I'll take my leave as well. Let's go, girls, except for the ones that kid chose. I want him to at least have some hope," Razor said, disappearing with his 7 pawns and his last bishop. "Goodbye, my beautiful Rias. TSK, I'm leaving too, and you, little one, stay here. When I defeat that idiot, you'll receive a punishment," Rias said, departing with Akino, Asia, and Kiba Yudo. "You girls will come with me, and we'll go to Cerzex-sama's mansion, where you'll stay until the day of the battle." "Follow me," Graphia instructed, creating a magic transport circle. "Yes, Graphia-sama," they all replied in unison, though Kaniko was somewhat distracted, knowing that someone would still choose her, making her feel a bit happy before disappearing into the magic circle. Classes had ended, and Issei returned home, not caring at all about school. Upon arriving, he found Rainier preparing dinner, wearing only an apron, which made the brown-haired boy feel a rush of excitement. "How do I look, Issei-kun?" she asked, turning around to show that she was wearing nothing else. "You look great, Rainer. You truly are a very alluring detenshi," he said, a little blood trickling from his nose. "But I'm not the only one who did this for you. The others wanted to as well, though I don't know why," Rainer added. "The others? Who are you talking about, Rainer?" the brown-haired boy asked, confused as he wiped the blood from his nose. "I'm talking about Kalawarner and Middelt," she said. "Hey girls, come out. You look good." When Issei saw where the two detenshi were coming from, his excitement reached its peak. Kalawarner was wearing a blue apron and was also NDE, while Middelt wore a yellow apron. Both were quite flushed, making Issei even more excited. "Hey Rainer, Kalawarner, and Middelt," the brown-haired boy said, his eyes hidden by his hair. "What's up, Issei-kun?" Rainer asked, looking at him along with the others, although the last two still had a deep blush on their faces from embarrassment and shyness. "I'm sorry, but it seems I've reached my limit with my dragon instincts," the brown-haired boy admitted. Kalawarner timidly asked what Issei meant, while the blushing blonde girl also inquired about Issei-sama. Issei announced that none of them would be able to sleep that night, surprising all three as he swiftly picked them up and ran to his room, leaving them blushing in astonishment. With excitement, Issei declared that they would be completely his for the night. The sounds of joy filled the air, echoing through the night. Meanwhile, the goddess Shikigami observed the scene through a magical sphere, lamenting that the girls seemed unaware of the nature of dragons. She wished she could join Issei, whom she affectionately referred to as her darling. However, she had to remain vigilant, particularly regarding someone trying to escape from her dimension. If it weren't for Beowulf, she would be with Issei that night. Suddenly, a fairy arrived at great speed, warning Shikigami that someone was attempting to escape again. Shikigami sighed, realizing she needed to strengthen the barrier around her dimension to prevent any chaos or harm from occurring in other realms. The fairy expressed concern for Shikigami, who was frustrated that Issei was engaged in a duel with a lesser phoenix and spending time with other girls. She longed to rest beside her darling and wondered how long the barrier would hold. The fairy estimated it would last about 5 months before needing to be reinforced again. Shikigami felt a surge of happiness at the thought of visiting Issei soon. The new servants of Hayade Isay were astonished to learn he was the legendary Security. Ravel asked if Issei was indeed the Security, to which he confirmed, stating that he shared this information because he trusted them not to betray him. Ubelula questioned how they could be sure he was telling the truth. Issei revealed his boosted gear, demonstrating his identity as the legendary Security, leaving them no doubt of his honesty. Kaneko, the little girl, wondered why Issei hadn't used his sacred gear in battle, which could have ended things much quicker. Issei explained that he didn't want to reveal his current position and turned the question back to her, asking why she didn't use her true power. Kaneko was taken aback and nervously asked what he meant. Issei reassured her that she shouldn't hide her true self or abilities, unlike her sister Kuroka, which surprised Kaneko even more. She asked how he knew about her sister and her true nature. Issei replied that he couldn't disclose that information without upsetting his lovely companions, pointing to Rainer, Kalawarner, and Middelt. He then addressed Kaneko by her true name, Chiron, which she had been given by her sister. Kaneko firmly stated that she was now Kaneko Toju and was proud to be his tower. Issei encouraged her to show her true form to the others, and Kaneko complied, revealing her white ears and tail. Issei embraced her, finding her incredibly adorable, and asked her to call him Issei. Kaneko shyly obliged, blushing from the affection. Issei then inquired if the others had familiars. Ravel explained that they had one, but after trading with Issei, they no longer responded to their calls. Issei realized that familiars could only be obtained on a full moon night and noticed that it was indeed a full moon. He suggested they go find their familiars, as well as his and his lovely companions. Kalawarner stated that they were not Issei's servants. Issei, with a hint of surprise, remembered that they indeed wanted to be his servants. The three girls responded in unison, affirming their commitment to him. Issei then decided to begin the ritual with the 3 detenshis, transforming them into his pawns. After completing the ritual, he created a magical circle that would lead them to the forest of familiars, where they would encounter the guardian of the familiars. They would separate to reunite with their former familiars or seek new ones, in the case of the Detenshis, while Issei remained. Issei found the search for familiars a bit dull, and Drake suggested that he release some of his power to attract a familiar. Issei agreed, acknowledging Drake's usefulness at times. He unleashed a significant amount of his power, and it wasn't long before a familiar approached him with a thunderous roar. Before him appeared a massive white tiger, larger than any ordinary tiger, crackling with electricity. Drake informed Issei that this familiar was named Byakko, the legendary white tiger from Chinese mythology, and that it was nearly impossible to find one, let alone form a contract with it. Issei, intrigued, asked Byakko if it wanted to be his familiar, dodging a bolt of lightning that shot from the tiger. It seemed Byakko was testing him, but Issei was unfazed. He charged forward, landing a punch on Byakko's face, only to receive a jolt of electricity in return. Issei acknowledged the tiger's strength, finding it exhilarating. He then unleashed a powerful strike, hitting Byakko on the head and momentarily stunning him. Seizing the opportunity, Issei prepared to launch Byakko against some rocks. As he did so, Byakko enveloped himself in lightning and charged at Issei, pushing him back. Issei recognized the tiger's formidable strength and decided that Byakko would indeed be his familiar. He rushed at the tiger with great speed, delivering another powerful blow that sent Byakko crashing into the rocks once more. However, Byakko retaliated, using the rocks to propel himself and tackle Issei. Breathless, Issei asked Byakko if he had proven himself worthy of forming a contract. The tiger's roar seemed to affirm this, and Issei proceeded with the ritual. A magical circle appeared, inscribing the mark of security at Byakko's feet, completing the contract. Byakko then stepped back, awaiting Issei's call. As Issei prepared to leave, he heard what sounded like a dragon's roar and decided to investigate. Upon arriving, he spotted a massive blue dragon soaring toward a cave and felt compelled to get a closer look. Drake warned him not to approach, revealing that the dragon was Tiiamat, the Dragon Queen. Issei, startled by this revelation, contemplated retreating. However, as he turned to leave, Tiiamat awoke and attacked him. Issei quickly called upon his power, activating his balance breaker. The transformation intensified Tiamat's anger, and she pursued him at high speed. Tiiamat managed to catch Issei in her grasp, squeezing him tightly. Issei struggled to explain that he was not Drake, but rather his wielder. Tiiamat, unconvinced and furious, demanded to know why she should believe him. Issei called for more power from Drake, who obliged. A fiery tornado surrounded Issei, forcing Tiiamat to release him. When the flames dissipated, Issei's armor had transformed into a more streamlined yet resilient form, with dragon claws for gauntlets and rapidly changing gem colors in his eyes. This was Issei's most powerful form. Tiiamat, taken aback by the surge of power, realized she was outmatched. Issei declared it was time to get serious and vanished from sight. Tiiamat, confused, searched for him. Suddenly, Issei reappeared before her, delivering a powerful punch that sent her crashing into the cave. Tiiamat retaliated with a massive fire breath, but Issei countered with his own attack. Their energies clashed, initially appearing evenly matched, but Issei's attack gained the upper hand, resulting in a tremendous explosion that left Tiiamat injured on the ground. Issei, with a serious demeanor, asked Tiiamat if she surrendered. Acknowledging her defeat, Tiiamat admitted that she now belonged to him. Issei, confused by her words, questioned what she meant. Tiiamat explained that she had been defeated twice and that he must now take responsibility for her. Issei was furious as he confronted Drake. Drake, feeling nervous, explained that when a male dragon seeks a mate, he must defeat her in battle. If he wins, she belongs to him for eternity, but if he loses, he could die or leave without returning. Drake chuckled, revealing that this was likely why Tiiamat despised him. He had defeated her but never claimed her as his partner. Issei, still angry, called Drake a troublesome lizard for not informing him about this sooner. Drake apologized, stating that he had saved himself by sacrificing Issei and was going to sleep. Issei muttered to himself, frustrated with the situation regarding Tiiamat. When Tiamat addressed him, he clarified that he was not Drake but Hyudou Issei, the one who bore Drake's soul sealed in his left arm. Tiamat, the Dragon Queen, realized that he was not Drake. Issei confirmed that although he was not human, he was indeed a dragon. Tiamat accepted this, stating that since she had lost to him, she belonged to him. Issei fell to his knees, contemplating his predicament. He thought about Navi and how she had allowed him to have other partners as long as she remained the first. He hoped that meant he would continue to survive. Tiamat checked on Issei, concerned for his well-being. Issei reassured her that he was fine, but felt he needed to take responsibility for his actions. He dismissed his armor, feeling uncomfortable with Tiamat's current appearance. Tiamat suggested that this could be easily fixed. As she spoke, her body began to glow and shrink until she matched Issei's height. Tiamat transformed into a beautiful girl with long blue hair, wearing a school uniform unfamiliar to Issei. She asked how she looked now, and Issei, blushing slightly, complimented her beauty. Tiamat blushed in return, thanking him. Issei encouraged her to be less formal, and Tiamat agreed. She took hold of his arm, and they left the site of their battle to join the others. Upon their arrival, Rainier inquired about Tiamat's identity. Tiamat introduced herself as Issei's partner, the Dragon Queen, surprising everyone, though the Detenshis were less shocked. Calawarner pointed out that Tiamat could never be Issei's first wife, to which Tiamat asked for clarification. Middlet, the petite blonde, informed her that Issei already had a wife. Tiamat expressed disbelief, and even those who were unaware were taken aback. Issei, feeling nervous, explained that a powerful woman had claimed she would take his place as the leader of his harem if he had multiple partners. Tiamat inquired about this woman, but Issei hesitated, stating that she was extremely powerful, to the point that he wouldn't last 5 seconds against her in battle. This revelation surprised those who were not in the know. Issei admitted that was all he could share for now. Tiamat then declared that she was content to be his lover, but the 3 Detenshis chimed in, stating they were also his lovers. Tiamat, realizing this, suggested they should take their relationship further. Issei, flustered, acknowledged that he wouldn't mind being with someone as beautiful as her, but felt it was too soon. The Detenshis reminded him that it had been the same with them, and Issei reluctantly agreed. Tiamat insisted they should proceed, but Issei suggested they wait until they returned home, as the current location wasn't ideal. Meanwhile, in the dungeons of the Lucifer Mansion, Venolana felt sorrowful, believing her husband thought she had been unfaithful and had a child with another man. She questioned why her love and loyalty were not believed. Suddenly, the door opened, revealing Graphia, Cerzex's wife, holding keys. Graphia reassured Venolana that she believed her. Venolana lamented that it didn't matter, as everyone thought she had betrayed the one she loved most. Graphia urged Venolana to escape for her own safety, removing her HNDCFFS. Venolana expressed her confusion about where she could go, but Graphia created a magical circle, assuring her that it was okay to leave for now. Grateful, Venolana thanked Graphia, acknowledging that despite the situation, Cerzex remained her son. After Venolana stepped into the magical circle and vanished, Graphia quickly left the dungeons. However, when a guard passed by, he reported to the Mao that Venolana was missing. The Mao acknowledged her escape and ordered a search for her. Due to Graphia's oversight, Venolana was sent to the family forest, where she could be tracked. A group of demons was dispatched to find her, believing she was still under the effects of the HNDCFFS and unable to control her demonic powers. When Venolana realized she was being pursued, she ran as fast as she could, but was soon discovered. Despite her attempts to defend herself, it was futile, and one of the demons unleashed an attack that created a significant explosion, alerting Issei and the others. Issei sensed the disturbance and asked the girls if they felt it. They confirmed that they had. He decided to investigate while they returned home through a teleportation circle. As he prepared to leave, he called out to Drake, questioning the source of the explosion. Drake informed him that it was caused by demons and advised him to use his balance breaker to avoid raising suspicions. Issei agreed and activated his balance breaker, donning his red armor. He took flight toward the explosion's location and arrived to find several demons surrounding Venolana, leaving him confused about their intentions. He approached the soldiers, demanding to know what they were doing. The demons responded with hostility, insisting he stay out of their way as they captured a traitor. Issei was taken aback, questioning how Venolana could be labeled a traitor. One of the demons explained that she had betrayed Lord Gremory and had an affair with a human, revealing that they had learned this after seeing Hyudou Issei. The brown-haired individual pondered the absurdity of the situation, knowing Venolana well enough to be certain she would never betray her husband. Draig's voice echoed in his mind, reminding him that sometimes demons were foolish enough to believe everything they were told. Issei recalled this perfectly. He realized that Venolana had never blamed him for what had happened, and he appreciated her greatly. He resolved to take her with him. One of the demons shouted for him to leave at once. Issei, still floating in the air with his arms crossed, smirked at the demons, declaring himself the legendary Hyudou. As he landed in front of them, a swift display of power left nearly all the demons incapacitated. One demon, in disbelief, stammered, recognizing him as the legendary Hyudou. Issei confirmed this and unleashed a surge of energy that eliminated the remaining demons. However, one demon, who had been slow to arrive, witnessed the scene and quickly fled in terror. Concerned for the girl who had fainted from exhaustion, Issei, still clad in his armor, asked if she was all right. She barely managed to ask who he was before losing consciousness. Worried, Issei urged Draig that they needed to help her quickly. Draig agreed, noting her weakness. Issei opened a portal and carried the girl through, muttering about the Gremory family as he vanished. Meanwhile, in the underworld, specifically in the Lucifer mansion, Cerzex had just learned of the events. He questioned whether the entire squad had been eliminated. A guard confirmed that they had been defeated by someone in red dragon armor. Cerzex processed this information, realizing that the Hyudou had taken the traitor, complicating matters further. He dismissed the guard, feeling the weight of the situation. How is it possible that Hyudou knows about her? This doesn't make sense. Did Hyudou help Mother escape? I need more information, cursed be it, thought Cerzex as he slammed his hand on the desk. The Mao was quite angry since the legendary Hyudou had taken the traitor. What could he do? To be continued. Issei had just brought Venolana Bale to his home so that Rainier could provide her with healing using her sacred gear, Twilight Healing. Venolana had just finished her treatment, but she remained unconscious on one of the sofas, exhausted from fleeing the guards. Rainier reassured Issei that Venolana would be fine, but she would sleep for several hours, perhaps even until the next day. Issei decided to take Venolana to a room before joining the others. The girls all agreed and went to their respective rooms, except for the three Detenshis and Tiiamat, who waited in Issei's room for him to return. Issei, feeling serious, remarked to Draig that he sometimes wondered how demons could be so foolish. Draig responded that he too found it puzzling, noting that demons often believed everything they heard, thinking only of their own benefits and beliefs. Issei reflected on his own past as a demon, questioning if he had been the same. Draig reminded him that he had fought for his friends and loved ones, even if it wasn't always the right choice. Issei acknowledged Draig's point but expressed his displeasure over past actions. Draig defended himself, stating that his choices had been to save himself and that they both ended up gaining something from the situation. Issei, however, teased Draig about having rejected someone, questioning his preferences. Draig insisted he was entirely masculine and explained that his focus on the battle against Albion had overshadowed other considerations. Issei called Draig an irredeemable idiot, but Draig contemplated apologizing to the girl he had rejected. Issei decided it was best for now to focus on Venolana, thinking it was time to help her rest in a room. He carried Venolana in a bridal style to a room, feeling guilty for the troubles she had faced. He expressed his regret, wishing he could have prevented the situation. Draig encouraged him to confront those responsible, and Issei vowed to make them regret their actions, knowing Venolana was a remarkable woman who would never betray her family. Draig asked if Issei intended to face them directly, and Issei confirmed his determination to make them pay. Drake was pleased with Issei's resolve and urged him to show what a dragon could do when enraged. Issei placed Venolana in a room and explained his intentions to the girls, who understood. He kissed each of them before creating a portal and setting off. Upon arriving at the Lucifer castle, he was overwhelmed with feelings of anger and hatred for the place. He called upon Drake for power, activating his balance breaker, which enveloped him in the distinctive red armor of Security. He declared that he would not forgive anyone who harmed someone dear to him. With a fierce determination, he unleashed a powerful attack on the Lucifer castle, causing significant destruction. Amidst the rubble, Cerzex emerged, furious at the damage done to his castle. He recognized the red armor and realized it was Security. Issei confronted Cerzex, stating that he could not forgive anyone who harmed an innocent woman. Cerzex dismissed Venolana as a traitor, claiming she was not innocent. Issei, filled with anger, declared that it would have been better if Cerzex had not lived. In a flash, Issei appeared before the Mao, striking him and sending him crashing into the remnants of the mansion. Cerzex retaliated with destructive power, but Issei found it ineffective against his armor, which began to transform into the Imperial Dragon over limit. Issei approached Cerzex, determined to end the threat he posed, declaring that it was time for him to face the consequences of his actions. The Demon Lord unleashed his power, but his attacks were futile, evaporating upon contact with the armor. Issei stood before the Demon Lord, gripping his neck tightly. He demanded to know what it felt like to be in pain, to be unable to protect oneself. The Demon Lord struggled to escape Issei's grasp, cursing him as he did. Suddenly, a voice shouted in anger, warning that an attack was coming, but it did nothing against the armor. Issei mocked the arrival of Lord Gremory, his daughter, and her future husband, questioning their ability to challenge him. Lord Gremory retaliated with his strongest attack, declaring that the Demon Lord would perish. As Razor and Rius joined in, unleashing flames and destructive power, Issei felt disappointment wash over him. Just before their combined attacks reached him, a wall of fire absorbed them effortlessly. Issei smirked, demonstrating his own power with a technique that sent the three of them flying. In desperation, Lord Gremory attempted to kick Issei, channeling all his demonic power into the strike, but Issei held the kick effortlessly, taunting him. The older redhead, enraged, grabbed Issei by the neck, threatening him with his voice. Rias intervened, launching several blasts of destructive power, but Issei simply placed Lord Gremory in the path of her attacks. The patriarch coughed up blood as he felt the impact of his daughter's assault. Rias cried out in horror at what had happened to her father. Razor shouted for the Demon Lord to perish, but Issei, frustrated by the chaos, struck back. He used the body of Lord Gremory to slam into Razor, sending them both crashing into the debris. Rias, fueled by anger, unleashed all her power in one final attack, but Issei dismissed her efforts, launching the Demon Lord's body directly into her attack, creating a massive explosion. Rias, exhausted from her efforts, fell to her knees, unable to comprehend how Issei had survived. Issei, however, was far from finished. He seized the fallen Demon Lord, still conscious, and began to apply pressure to his arm, tearing it off completely. The Demon Lord screamed in agony. Rias, filled with a mix of emotions, urged Issei to stop, but he approached her, blood staining his armor, declaring that he was not yet satisfied. Razor attempted to strike Issei, but the battle was far from over. The brown-haired boy warned the blonde to stay still. Issei had gripped the blonde's head, channeling a significant amount of sacred power. Drake cautioned Issei not to kill him, or it would anger her. With a frustrated sigh, Issei tossed Razor toward Rius, causing both to tumble to the ground. He hoped that would teach them their place. Rising into the sky, he dodged an attack from the Mao. Cerzex, struggling to hold back the bleeding from his severed arm, declared that Issei would not escape so easily. Issei, unimpressed, unleashed a freezing dragon attack, encasing over 90% of the Mao's body in ice. The Mao cursed, attempting to thaw himself, but Issei looked around at the destruction and the four defeated demons, feeling satisfied with the outcome. He ascended into the sky, disappearing in a flash of red. Grafia appeared moments later, alarmed by the sight of her frozen husband and the wreckage of the mansion. She rushed to help him. "What happened?" she asked, noticing Cerzex's condition. "It was a Bakemono that attacked us," he replied, barely managing to speak before losing consciousness. "A Bakemono? Who?" Grafia pressed. "The infernal dragon, the one who did this to us, is Sekui," Cerzex managed to say before he fell silent. Grafia was left bewildered, trying to comprehend the situation. First, they blamed Venolana for betrayal, and now the Sekui had nearly killed Cerzex and the others for no apparent reason. She wondered if there was a connection between Sekui and Venolana, feeling frustrated and confused. The next day, news spread that the Mao Lucifer's mansion had been destroyed by Sekui, shocking and frightening many demons. Meanwhile, at the Hyudou residence, Issei had returned hours earlier, exhausted, and fell asleep almost instantly in bed with Rainier, Calawarner, Middlet, and Tiamat, who used parts of his body as pillows. As Issei began to wake, still feeling tired from using his Imperial Dragon over limit, which drained a lot of energy, he decided to rouse his girls. "Rainier, Calawarner, Middlet, and Tiamat, wake up, girls," he called, and they slowly stirred. The four greeted him with morning kisses before leaving the room. Shortly after, Issei stepped out to check on Venolana, finding her still asleep, which eased his mind. He then headed to Ko Academy, where he was summoned by the student council president for being late. "Hyade, what is the reason for your tardiness today?" Sona Satiri inquired. "Come on, Sona, I was only 5 minutes late," he replied casually. "Hyade, you know you should arrive early to the academy," Sona reminded him. "Seriously, Sona, why are you pretending not to know about yesterday's battle?" Issei challenged. "Wow, I didn't think you would know I was a demon." "You're smarter than I thought," Sona admitted. "Come on, Sona, it's insulting to think I wouldn't know," Issei feigned offense. "You're right, I apologize. Now tell me, what did you gain from your battle against Razor Phoenix and Rius Gremory?" "I couldn't find out," she asked. "Well, I got nearly half of his entourage, the troublesome Kaneko Toju, a noble title, 2 sets of dragon pieces, and the territory belonging to Rius Gremory," he replied, surprising Sona. "Wow, it seems you've gained a lot, Hyudou-kun," she remarked. "Yeah, well, I should get going." "Goodbye, Sona," he said as he bid her farewell. Issei, a mere human with an inactive sacred gear, had managed to defeat 2 powerful high-class demons. It was quite intriguing, Sona thought as she returned to her duties. Issei spent the rest of his classes dozing off, uninterested in the lessons. When the school day ended, he headed home to rest. On the way, he had a conversation with Drake. "Hey, Drake, why do I feel so drained?" he wondered aloud in his thoughts. "To be honest, in last night's battle, you forcibly broke the second seal that Ophis placed on you," Drake explained. "What do you mean I broke it?" "I thought that wasn't possible yet," Issei replied, incredulous. "It's true. Learning what the Gremories did to that woman intensified your anger and hatred toward them, pushing your body to break the seal. You experienced a significant power boost, making you as strong as a supreme-class demon. With just the balance breaker, you could easily overpower Kokobile and even hold your own against Loki," Drake revealed, leaving Issei astonished. "Wow, that's incredible. I can't wait to face Vale and see who's stronger now," Issei exclaimed, feeling excited. "However, you also have the temporary disadvantage of not being able to control your dragon instincts. Your hatred may escalate to the point of wanting to eliminate those who anger you, and your excitement around your women could reach levels even I can't help with," Drake cautioned. "Well, I didn't expect that, but I suppose the gains outweigh the losses," Issei concluded, ending the conversation. Upon arriving home, Issei spotted Tiamat, but his dragon instincts took over, leading him to pull her into his room. She couldn't finish what she was going to say as Issei kissed her. Issei then mentioned that Tiamat had expressed a desire for intimacy, and he suggested they proceed with that. Surprised, the Dragon Queen decided to go along with the moment. Moments later, they found themselves in a more NTMT situation. Issei playfully tossed Tiamat onto the bed, positioning himself in front of her and suggesting she assist him. As he drew closer, Tiamat blushed, feeling the heat of the moment. She agreed to help him, and they began to explore their connection further. Issei encouraged her, appreciating her efforts. Tiamat, feeling bold, decided to take things a step further, showing her eagerness. Issei responded positively to her actions, feeling the excitement build between them. As they continued, Tiamat expressed her desire for more, urging Issei to increase his pace. Despite the initial discomfort, she quickly found herself caught up in the thrill of the experience. Issei, feeling the rush of the moment, declared his claim over her, and Tiamat reciprocated, fully embracing their connection. With each passing moment, Issei's intensity grew, pushing Tiamat closer to her limits. She felt the excitement surge within her, and as they reached a climax, both experienced a wave of overwhelming sensations. Afterward, Issei stood up, surprising Tiamat. She asked where he was going, and he casually mentioned he had some business to attend to. As he opened the door, 3 girls tumbled in: Rainier, Calawarner, and Middlet, who had witnessed everything. Issei playfully remarked that they seemed to deserve a punishment, and the 3 girls eagerly agreed, their excitement palpable. He carried them to the bed, checking in with Tiamat, who nervously reassured him that she was fine. Issei settled onto the bed, revealing his intentions to the girls, who approached him eagerly. They began to show their enthusiasm, while Issei reciprocated by showering Tiamat with affection. Rainier, feeling bold, invited Issei to join her, and he obliged, entering her with confidence. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as they lost themselves in the moment. Rainier encouraged him to continue, expressing her eagerness for more. As the intensity built, Issei felt the rush of the experience, and Rainier urged him to finish inside her. With a final surge, he released, and she felt the overwhelming sensations wash over her. Issei, feeling rejuvenated, moved on to Calawarner and then Middlet, before returning to Tiamat, continuing their shared experience for hours. Eventually, he laid them all down and took his leave. Later, Issei, now dressed, made his way to Venolana's room to check on her. He entered to find her waking up, and he greeted her warmly. She seemed confused, and he reassured her that she was safe from any threats. Venolana expressed her gratitude but was clearly distressed, struggling to understand why her family had treated her this way. Issei empathized, sharing his own past experiences of being wronged by those he trusted, but he found strength in someone he loved. As their conversation continued, Issei revealed his identity as the Security before stepping out of the room, leaving Venolana with much to ponder. He is the legendary Security. It can't be, she said, incredulous, with Issei. Don't worry, Venolana, I will prevent those cursed demons from hurting you any further, Issei declared, determined to do so. To be continued. In the underworld, specifically in one of the hospitals within Lucifer's territory, the members of the Gremory clan were present: Rius Gremory, Lord Gremory, Razor Phoenix from the Phoenix clan, and finally, the mouse Cerzex Lucifer, all on stretchers after the humiliation caused by the infernal dragon, better known as Security. The name was given by the Mao after witnessing the terrifying power of a dragon. The door to the room opened, revealing Cerzex Lucifer's wife, Graphia. Cerzex, are you feeling better? Graphia asked, concerned. Not at all, Graphia. Can't you see I've lost my left arm? He replied, showing his left shoulder, which was only wrapped in bandages to prevent infection. I have never suffered such humiliation, especially from a human wielding a Longinus. Cerzex, do you remember why Security attacked you, your father, sister, and future son-in-law? The albino asked. All I know is that he has some connection to that traitor, but that's all, Cerzex said, anger evident in his voice. Tiske, that wretched woman deceived my father with a mere human, and now Security humiliates us in battle. Deepening. Cerzex, I can't believe you truly think that way about the woman who raised you. But I am your wife, and I must support you in everything, Graphia thought. Cerzex, do you truly believe Security is connected to her? Yes, he himself said that for what we did to the traitor, we deserved punishment. Say, I wish I could eliminate that wretch, the Mao said, filled with rage. Onisama, don't you think Security is the man with whom Mother deceived us? Rias suggested. You might be right, Rias, but it could also be that he is one of that wretched woman's illegitimate children, the Mao replied. You are correct. It could be true, Onisama. We need more information, Rias said seriously. Deepening. First, that kid defeats me without using his sacred gear, then that wretched woman, Venolana, turns out to have an affair with a human, and now the cursed Security nearly kills us, Razor Phoenix exclaimed in frustration. How much humiliation can I endure as a high-class demon? Calm down, Razor-kun. We have all been humiliated. I was humiliated by my own wife, and then Security humiliated us and nearly killed you, Lord Gremory said. You're right, Otisama. We were severely humiliated by mere humans, Cerzex added. Please rest, you are all still injured from yesterday, especially you, Ojusama, Razor-sama, and Cerzex, Graphia said seriously. You are right, Graphia, the Mao concluded, ending the conversation. At the Hyudou residence, the brown-haired boy was in the living room of his remodeled house, thanks to his wife, Navi, Shikigami. That day, he didn't have much to do and got ready to head to the academy, feeling a bit annoyed, but there was nothing else to occupy his time. When he stepped outside, he noticed two individuals in white robes, quickly recognizing them as Hyudou Irina and Zenobia. He decided to pretend he didn't know them and approached them. Excuse me, ladies, do you need something? He asked. We came to speak with the owner of this territory, Rius Gremory, the blue-haired girl said. I think you were given incorrect information, as Rius Gremory is not the owner of this place, exorcists, he replied, surprising the girls. Well, it seems you are quite clever, Issei, the brown-haired girl said, removing her hood to reveal Hyudou Irina's face. Oh, hello, Irina. It's been a while, he said, surprised to see her. Wow, Issei, you knew I was a girl all along, the brown-haired girl exclaimed, astonished. That's right, I always knew, but I played along and asked your parents for your real name, he said, fabricating the story. Oh really? And why do you say Rius Gremory is not the owner of this territory? The brown-haired girl asked. As I mentioned, she is no longer that, as I defeated her along with her fiancé, Razor Phoenix. Among the things I won was her territory, he stated casually. How did you do it, Issei-kun? No human can defeat a high-class demon without an Excalibur, the brown-haired girl said, surprised. Well, just as you heard, I defeated her. If you want to discuss it, meet me here at the time of my departure, he said, walking inside. Very well, Hayade Isay, we will wait for you, Zenobia replied this time. Hours passed, and it was time to leave the academy. Issei stepped out, noticing the two exorcists were still there, so he informed them that it was time to go, and they followed him. When they arrived, they could see where Issei currently lived. Hey Issei-kun, you live here? The brown-haired girl said, surprised. When I was here last, your house only had 2 floors. A lot has happened, Irina, since you left, he said seriously, including the murder of my parents at the hands of that Gremory woman. Both girls were left in shock, surprised by what Issei had just revealed. Issei-kun, what do you mean? The brown-haired girl asked, still in shock. Just as you heard, Rius Gremory killed my parents. Over 2 years ago, he said seriously. But don't worry, I have taken some revenge for that and more. Well, Hayade Isay, Zenobia said, astonished. All right, let's go inside. When he opened the door, someone hugged him. Issei-kun, you took your time, it was Rainer. Who are they, Issei-kun? A surprised brown-haired girl asked about the fallen angel. Don't worry, she won't harm you, Rainer-chan, the brown-haired boy reassured while gently caressing the black-haired girl's cheek. Weiss, if you say so, it's fine, Rainer replied, blushing. But Issei-kun, fallen angels are beings that kill and use humans with sacred gear, Irina said, visibly upset. Maybe most of them, but Rainer, Calawarner, and Middlet are not like that, the boy said seriously. There are other fallen angels with you, Zenobia remarked, her expression serious. That's right. Calawarner and Middlet, come here, he called to his companions. The 2 fallen angels appeared, Calawarner in her fitted red outfit and Middlet in her gothic attire. They sat on the boy's knees, and he affectionately stroked their cheeks, causing them to blush. Issei had just encountered Kokobile, knowing that he would face him the next day. He was on his way home to check on the exorcists, Irina and Zenobia, whom Rainier had treated for their injuries. It seems Kokobile has gotten ahead of us, but why? He pondered. By the way, Rainier, how are they? Well, I would say they are fine for now. I've treated their wounds, but I can't do anything about the blood loss. I'm sorry, the black-haired girl said apologetically. It's okay. You've done a lot, and I'm glad they didn't go with Kokobile, even though he was your superior, Issei said happily. It's impossible for me or the others to abandon you. We love you with all our hearts, and we will never leave you, Rainier declared, her cheeks flushed and her smile making her even more beautiful. That's right, Issei. At first, I was only interested in you, but then my heart began to feel something more, Calawarner added, also blushing and smiling. Indeed, Risidima. Initially, I was close to you because of Donasik and because Rainier-sama asked me to, but then my heart started to feel something for you, and I soon realized it was love, Middle said, her cheeks rosy and her smile endearing. I'm glad to hear that from all of you, the boy said joyfully. I also started to feel love for you, and I don't regret anything I've done. Thank you, Iseken-sama, they said, embracing him and showering him with affection. Though I should be the one thanking you for loving this fool, he said, hugging the three fallen angels. But it's best if you go with Navi and ask her to train you. I won't always be able to protect you, but I'll do my best, so go. All right, Issei-kun. When we return, we will be more useful, Rainier promised. Very well, he replied as the three fallen angels entered the portal, which he closed once they were through. Now Ravel. Issei called for the daughter of the Phoenix clan, and she appeared in a magic circle, having gone to the underworld for some of her belongings. Did you call for me, Issei-sama? She asked. Yes, I want you to gather the others and prepare for an intense battle, he instructed. Understood, Issei-sama, Ravel replied before leaving to fetch the others. Ravel returned with the other girls, who gathered in the room to await Issei's orders. We're ready, Issei-sama, Ravel announced, and the others stood by her side. Who will we be fighting? That's easy to answer, my little phoenix. We will face Kokobile, the cadre of Gregory, Issei revealed, surprising everyone except Tiamat. I see. I can handle Kokobile easily, Issei, Tiamat stated confidently. I know very well, Tiamat, but he is trying to merge the Excalibur he possesses and has several Cerberus under his command. I want you to increase your power, Issei explained. You might have sensed that his powers are double what they were when he was with Razor. That's right, Issei-sama. My flames are stronger than before, and my reserves are much greater, Ravel said, creating a small flame in her palm. But how? It's simple. Thanks to being half-dragon, you've enhanced your attributes like strength, magic, resistance, and speed exponentially compared to before, Issei clarified. Isabella, what was your limit when you were with Razor? I could barely break 5 concrete blocks with one hand, the brown-haired girl with red highlights replied. I see, Issei conjured 10 concrete blocks with magic. Try breaking these. All right, she said, striking the blocks with her fist and shattering them into small fragments, showcasing her strength. Wow, you've really improved. And you, Shuelon, how many could you break? He asked. I could break 7 or 8 with a kick, the black-haired girl in a Chinese outfit answered. Good, he conjured 16 blocks. Now give it a try. Okay, she said, kicking the blocks with similar results as Isabella. Incredible. Now, Carlin, your speed was comparable to that of the Gremory Knight, right? Issei asked, recalling his disdain for that boy. So, give it a go. All right, she said, and in an instant she vanished, reappearing at the end of the room in less than a millisecond. Huh. Incredible. The brown-haired boy noted that their powers, strength, and speed were now incredibly superior to before. With that, they would be able to handle several Cerberus, and he would also summon his familiar, Byako, to assist them. The group expressed their readiness to Issei. He then turned to Tiamat, emphasizing that he did not want anyone to know that the strongest Dragon Queen was on his side, especially not on the side of the feared Hyudou Issei. He wanted to avoid causing her any trouble as he had with Venolana. He mentioned that she could fight in the next battle and, almost forgetting, asked if Tiiamat wanted to be his second and final queen. She agreed, and Issei performed the ritual immediately. Determined, Issei declared that they needed to prevent the troublesome cadre from destroying the city. He created a magical circle leading to the academy, and everyone entered, being transported to the entrance. He instructed them to prepare, as Kokabile would soon finish the incomplete sword Excalibur. He decided to call Sona Citri to inform her of the situation. Creating a magical circle at his ear, he reached out to her. Sona responded, curious about what was happening. Issei explained that Kokabile wanted to destroy Ko and asked if she would allow him to handle it. Sona was shocked to learn that Kokabile aimed to start a new war with the help of Excalibur and intended to assassinate her to draw her sister, Seraphal Leviathan, into the conflict. Issei reassured her that he could manage Kokabile but needed her assistance. Sona agreed to help and promised to gather her servants and arrive as quickly as possible. Issei smiled, knowing that Sona would create a barrier, even though he could do it himself. He wanted her to take the initiative to protect the place rather than always relying on him. Ravel understood Issei's reasoning, acknowledging that it made sense for Sona to assist rather than depend solely on him. Issei then turned to Kaneko, encouraging her to use all her power since he would take care of Kokabile and wouldn't be able to help her much. He was serious, expressing concern for her well-being and assuring her that if she used her balance breaker, she wouldn't need to worry, but it was for her own good. Kaneko hesitated, expressing her fear of ending up like her sister. Issei reassured her that she wouldn't meet the same fate. He promised that when she grew older, she would have a body like her sister's, but she would not lose control of her power. The day had dawned, and the brown-haired boy was resting after his battle against Kokabile, where he had nearly defeated him. Now, he was asleep with only Tiiamat by his side, as Rainier, Calawarner, and Middlet had gone to train with Issei's wife. They wanted to become better allies for him, so they had gone to train with Shikigami, or Navi, as Issei called her, to improve their levels. At that moment, Issei began to wake up, greeted by the sight of the beautiful blue-haired girl in front of him, which made him smile. Since it was the weekend and he had nothing planned, he decided to rest a little longer with her. Eventually, he grew tired of that and quietly got up. Outside his room, he decided to check on Venolana. He opened the door to her room, finding her sitting on her bed and looking out of one of the windows. He greeted her, asking if she was awake. Hyudou Issei was looking out the window when a brown-haired girl turned to him, asking what was happening. He reassured her that it was nothing, just checking if she was okay, reminding her to call him Issei. She responded that she was fine and not to worry. Issei smiled, feeling relieved, and suggested that she join Ravel and Kaneko for lunch, as they would like her company. She agreed to come down shortly, and Issei headed downstairs, where he found Burent preparing breakfast with Ravel and Kaneko. Soon, breakfast was ready, and they all sat down to eat. Venolana joined them, easing Kaneko and Ravel's concerns. After finishing, Issei expressed his gratitude for the meal. Tiiamat arrived a bit late, having overslept, but managed to eat before Issei found himself on the rooftop, deep in thought. Feeling bored without the others, he recalled that he still needed to repay Sona for keeping his secret. He decided to call her. Creating a magical communication circle, he reached out to Sona Citri. She answered, curious about his call. Issei explained that he wanted to return the favor for her discretion regarding his identity as Securudii and asked what he could do for her. Sona suggested that he help clean the academy's pool. Issei agreed and asked what time they should meet. Sona replied that they should meet at 11 o'clock at the pool. After ending the call, Issei thought about the upcoming task but decided to check on Irina and Zenobia first. He walked to the room where he had left the exorcists and found them awake. Issei greeted them, and Irina recalled their encounter with Kokabile, expressing confusion about what happened afterward. She noticed her Excalibur was missing and asked Issei where it was. Zenobia, surprised, also inquired about their swords. Issei explained that Kokabile had taken their Excaliburs after defeating them and had forged them into an incomplete version. Zenobia urged him to share everything he knew. Issei agreed and recounted the reasons behind Kokobil's desire to instigate a war against the angels and demons, including the death of God. This revelation left Irina saddened and both girls shocked. Issei reassured them that Kokobil would not pose a threat again, as he had defeated him in battle. Zenobia questioned why the church concealed God's death. Issei explained that if believers learned the truth, it would lead to the collapse of the churches and potentially spark an even worse war, resulting in the angels' defeat. He offered them a choice. They could take their Excaliburs to the church without revealing the truth or stay with him and become half-dragons, where he would help them achieve their goals. Irina expressed her intention to return to the church with Excalibur, while Zenobia decided to stay with Issei, feeling she had no reason to return after learning about God's death. She declared her new goal and accepted Issei's offer to become his servant, promising to continue her prayers. Irina was taken aback but respected Zenovia's decision, saying she would take the Excalibur to the church and hoped to see Issei again. Issei created a portal and handed the Excalibur to Irina, instructing her to deliver it on behalf of Hyudou. After she left, Issei performed a ritual to transform Zenobia into his knight, officially making her his third knight. He suggested they leave for the academy. Issei gathered the others to inform them about Zenovia's new role and asked who wanted to help clean the academy's pool. Only Kaneko, Tiiamat, and Zenobia volunteered, which Issei had anticipated. They used a magic circle to teleport to the academy's pool, where Sona and her group were waiting. Upon arrival, Issei greeted Sona, who asked about Zenobia. Issei introduced her as his new knight and mentioned that Sona was the heir of the Satiri clan. Zenobia expressed her respect for Sona, acknowledging her connection to the Mao Leviathan. Sona reciprocated the sentiment and asked if they could start cleaning. Issei confirmed that was their purpose, and together with Sona and her group, they began cleaning the pool. Once they finished, they changed into their swimsuits, ready to enjoy the pool afterward. As they were preparing, Saji, Sona's pawn, questioned how Issei had managed to defeat someone who had survived a battle against God, remarking on Kokobil's immense strength. Issei had been training for a long time, gaining great powers, and he laughed as he shared this with Saji. With excitement, wondered if he could become that strong too. Issei smiled and assured him that it was possible, as Saji had potential. He encouraged Saji to keep training, promising that in a few years, he would be just as strong. As they stepped outside, they noticed that most of the girls were already in their swimsuits. Tiiamat wore a stylish black two-piece, Kaneko looked cute in her school swimsuit, Sona sported a blue two-piece, Tsubaki wore a purple two-piece, Momo, Sona's knight, had on a red two-piece that made Saji blush, Nimura, Sona's pawn, wore a white one-piece and Yura, Sona's rook, donned a yellow two-piece. Issei complimented the girls, causing most of them to blush, except for Sona's knight and pawn. He then suggested they go swimming. As they entered the water, Kaneko, who didn't know how to swim, asked Issei to teach her. He gladly accepted, feeling nostalgic as he remembered the first time he taught her. After their lesson, he decided to look for Zenobia, who had been absent for a while. He recalled their earlier conversation but didn't mind. If she wanted to talk, he was open to it. He called out to Zenobia, asking why she was taking so long and if it was because she had never worn a swimsuit. She replied that it wasn't that, but she did have a request for him. Issei encouraged her to ask for anything. Zenobia requested to see a video of his battle against Cadre Kokobil. Issei agreed and created a magical circle to display the footage of his battle, where he decisively defeated Kokobil. He had anticipated someone would ask for proof, so he had recorded it. Zenobia was amazed by Issei's true power. He explained that it was only a fraction of his strength, as most of his power was sealed. He mentioned that he could defeat the Mao Lucifer at that moment. Zenobia expressed her astonishment, suggesting that he might even be as powerful as God. Issei acknowledged her words but explained that forcibly breaking a seal put immense pressure on his body and unleashed his dragon instincts, which he could barely control, thanks to Draig's assistance. Determined, Zenobia declared that she had decided on a new goal. Issei feigned curiosity, asking what it was. She boldly stated that her new goal was to have a child with him. Issei was taken aback and asked if she was sure. She confirmed her decision, expressing her readiness. Issei, wanting to ensure privacy, created a soundproof barrier and closed the door, ready to take the next step. Issei looked at Zenovia with concern, asking if she was in pain. She reassured him, encouraging him to continue. Issei nodded, feeling a surge of determination as he picked up the pace. Zenovia responded with excitement, urging him to go faster. As Issei increased his speed, Zenovia expressed her exhilaration, asking for more. He complied, lifting her and pressing her against the wall with more intensity. Although she felt embarrassed by the position, she couldn't deny the pleasure it brought her. Issei, noticing her reaction, continued to quicken his movements, causing her to blush even more. She warned him that if he kept going she might reach her peak. Issei, equally affected, encouraged her to let go, feeling his own climax approaching. In a moment of shared exhilaration, Zenovia experienced her first wave of pleasure, feeling overwhelmed by the sensations. Afterward, Issei gently lowered her to the ground, placing a soft kiss on her forehead as she fainted from the intensity of it all. Realizing he might have gone too far, Issei thought it best to leave before Tiiamat found out. As he opened the door, he was startled to see Tiiamat looking displeased, making him nervous. He greeted her awkwardly, unsure of how to explain the situation. Tiiamat entered the room with the brown-haired boy, closing the door behind her. The boy asked how she knew he had put up a sound barrier. Tiiamat explained that a dragon's senses are sharper than those of demons. The boy, feeling a bit nervous, acknowledged her statement. Tiiamat then decided they would take things further and began to remove her swimsuit. The boy felt a rush of excitement and agreed to proceed. As they engaged, Tiiamat expressed her enjoyment, urging him to continue. The boy, caught up in the moment, felt exhilarated by her reactions. Tiiamat encouraged him to increase his pace, and he complied, feeling a sense of fulfillment as they explored their connection. She noted that the experience felt even better than before, and her enthusiasm grew. As they continued, Tiiamat reached new heights of pleasure, urging him on. The boy, sensing her excitement, quickened his movements, and they both became lost in the intensity of the moment. Eventually, Tiiamat felt overwhelmed and fainted from the experience. The boy, feeling satisfied, withdrew and opened the door, only to be surprised by a small girl with white hair, blushing and caught off guard. She attempted to leave, but he stopped her, curious about her reaction. Issei called out to Kaneko, wrapping his arms around her from behind. She couldn't respond but nodded in agreement. With a smile, Issei led Kaneko into the room and closed the door behind them. He expressed his excitement, and Kaneko blushed at his words. Issei leaned down, showing his affection, and Kaneko felt a rush of emotions. Kaneko, feeling shy, hesitated but ultimately encouraged Issei to continue. Issei playfully teased her, lifting her up gently and checking in on her feelings. Kaneko, nervous yet eager, assured him she was okay. As they shared this NTMT moment, Issei moved closer, making sure Kaneko was comfortable. He asked if she was enjoying it, and she shyly affirmed, urging him to keep going. Issei increased his pace, and Kaneko felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. In the heat of the moment, Issei expressed his feelings for Kaneko, and she reciprocated, her emotions pouring out as she embraced the experience. Issei encouraged her to reveal her true self, and Kaneko complied, feeling a surge of confidence. As they reached a peak of emotion together, Issei felt a rush of exhilaration. Kaneko, caught up in the moment, expressed her feelings as well, and they shared a connection that deepened their bond. Afterward, Issei gently kissed Kaneko on the forehead, praising her for their shared experience. He decided it was time to leave, dressing quickly and stepping out of the room where Sona and her group were waiting. Saji inquired about Issei's delay, and he nervously laughed it off, assuring them it was nothing. As time passed, Sona announced that they were about to leave, and Issei confirmed he would join them shortly. Sona reminded him of an upcoming meeting between factions in 3 days, leaving Issei intrigued. Serafal had mentioned it, and the brown-haired boy feigned surprise. Sona, curious, asked how he knew her sister's name. He explained that many supernatural beings were aware of her identity as the sister of Mao Leviathan, Serfal Leviathan, the Mao of Eternal Cold. Sona felt embarrassed, realizing she had forgotten this detail. She said goodbye to him, and he watched as she walked away, deciding it was time to find the others and leave as well. With that thought, Issei went to where he had left Zenobia, Tiiamat, and Kaneko. He gathered them up and used a portal to take them to his room, laying them down on his bed before heading to the rooftop. He smiled, thinking about his upcoming battle with Vale, where they would see who the more powerful bearer was. He wondered if that troublesome Gremory and her group would attend. Issei woke up the next day to find more girls in his bed. Navi was nestled against his chest, Kaneko had her cat ears and tail exposed, and Middle was hugging him on one side, while Rainier and Calawarner clung to his arms. Tiamat and Zenobia held onto his feet. This sight brought a smile of happiness to his face. He tried to wake the girls, asking them to please get up. Slowly, each one stirred, giving him a kiss, starting with Navi and ending with a nervous Zenobia. Issei leaned in and kissed her, causing her to blush. He then turned to Rainier, Calawarner, and Middle, informing them that their training had concluded. Rainier explained that she had placed them in a special room where they trained for a year, while for him, it had only been a day. They had all slept together while he was unconscious. Navi approached him and kissed him, and he expressed how much he had missed her kisses. He then introduced Zenobia to the others, reminding them that she was their new companion and they should treat her well. The three girls responded in unison, acknowledging his request. Issei pointed out that both Zenobia and Kaneko bore marks from him, indicating their connection to him. They noticed the Hyudou mark on their bodies, with Zenovia's on her left arm and Kaneko's on her right leg. He decided it was time to explain everything they didn't know about him and why he wanted them to stay away from Rius Gremory and her group. As he recounted the events surrounding Rius and the troubles she had caused, he could see their anger growing. He explained that Rius, despite her charming exterior, harbored pure malice in her heart, driven only by a desire for power and fame. He revealed that Kaneko had been saved by Rius merely to maintain a good image among the demons, and that she never truly cared for her. Kaneko felt a bit sad, but Issei reassured her that he would protect her and bring her sister to his side so they could be together. He embraced her, kissing her forehead, which made her happy. He then turned to Zenobia, asking her what she wanted to do. She expressed her desire to stay close to him and learn more about Japan. Rainier, feeling a bit jealous, questioned why he only asked Zenobia. The other girls echoed her sentiment, and Tiamat added that it didn't matter as long as they were with him. Issei asked for a moment and created a magical communication circle in his ear. He contacted Sona, asking her to enroll 5 girls in the academy, 3 for second year, 1 for first, and 1 for third. Sona confirmed she could help but wanted to know who they were. Issei listed the fallen angels Rainier for second year, Calawarner for third, and Middle for first, along with Tiamat and Zenobia for second year. Sona was surprised to learn that Tiamat was the Dragon Queen. Issei confirmed it, and she cautioned him that Rias and her group might suspect something if Tiamat enrolled under her real name. Issei realized she was right and turned to Tiamat, suggesting that if she wanted to enroll, they would need a new name for her. Tiamat expressed her thoughts on the name Issei had chosen for her, suggesting that since he had named Shikigami-sama Navi, he should consider a name for her as well. Issei pondered for a moment before suggesting Ain, which Tiamat happily accepted. Issei then informed Sona about the upcoming enrollment of the girls in a magical circle, assuring her that they would receive their uniforms soon. After ending the call, he turned to the girls, excitedly sharing that they would soon be registered and able to attend school with him. Curious about how long Navi would stay, Issei asked his wife. She responded that she would remain for a while, embracing him affectionately. Issei felt a surge of happiness and decided to visit Venolana before returning to the group. As he entered Venolana's room, he found her gazing out the window, still troubled by her family's actions. Concerned, Issei checked on her well-being. Venolana admitted to feeling slightly better but remained distant. Issei, serious, questioned whether she could forgive them if they acknowledged their mistakes. Venolana expressed her doubts, stating that she could not forgive them for the pain they caused her. Issei empathized with her feelings, affirming that he would never forgive those who hurt her or Kaneko. His words brought a smile to Venolana's face, and she thanked him, moving closer to embrace him. Issei reciprocated the hug, assuring her of her special place in his heart and promising to protect her at all costs. In a different setting, Issei faced Kateria Leviathan, a descendant of the original Mao Leviathan. He challenged her to a battle, hoping to test his strength and possibly recruit her into his group. Kateria, exuding confidence, accepted his challenge. Issei, feeling frustrated by her arrogance, declared that once he defeated her, she would belong to him. This caught Kateria off guard, causing her to blush before she regained her composure and launched a powerful magical attack at him. The explosion left no trace, but Kateria arrogantly dismissed Issei as just a boy. Meanwhile, Azazel observed the battle, scratching his head in confusion. He was interrupted by Rainier, who confidently stated that Issei would not be defeated so easily. As they watched, the two Mao leaders were taken aback by the sight of Issei soaring through the air with dragon wings, surprising everyone except his allies. Kateria, furious, charged at Issei with a fist charged with demonic energy, but he skillfully dodged her attack. Countered with a powerful strike to her stomach, causing her to lose her breath. Kateria retaliated with an even stronger attack, but Issei returned it with a kick, sending it back toward her and causing her harm. Encouraging her to unleash her full power, Issei watched as the barrier around them shattered. He urged his allies to join the fight against the remaining mages. As the battle intensified, Kateria enveloped herself in a dark aura, her power surging as her skin turned purple. Issei acknowledged the challenge but remained determined not to give up. With a smile, he unleashed his wyvern attack, sending them toward Kateria. However, she struck him hard, forcing him to brace himself against the blow. Despite her strength, Issei pressed on, clashing with her in a fierce exchange of blows. He felt the effects of her power but remained resolute. As the battle raged on, Issei prepared to unleash his sacred power, but before he could reach Kateria, he was knocked to the ground by a sudden kick. Angered, he looked up to see Valle, who had interfered in the fight. Valle explained that being on this side allowed him to face more powerful beings, apologizing for the trouble he caused. Issei, still frustrated, turned away, asserting that he could have defeated Kateria on his own. He then inquired if Valle had joined the Cow's brigade. The brown-haired boy surprised many with his words. Hyudou Issei was his name, and the albino acknowledged him. Issei mentioned that before their battle, if the albino had a Nikomata named Kuroka on his team, he should tell her to come to Ko if she wanted to see Chiron. The albino agreed to relay the message. Issei assessed the situation, realizing that if he had to face both of them at the same time, he would need to use his balance breaker. He instructed the others to stop Cerzex, who might cause complications. Azazel assured him there would be no problem. Determined, Issei declared it was now or never and activated his balance breaker. The voice of Draig resonated as he was enveloped in the red armor of the Securitai. Later, Issei found himself at home with his girls, facing Kateria Leviathan, who appeared frightened by his presence. He urged her to speak and share everything she knew, but she remained silent. He warned her that if she didn't talk, he would have to make her. Despite his insistence, she continued to say nothing. Frustrated, Issei instructed the girls to go to their rooms, promising to join Rainier and the others later. Navi hesitated, asking Issei if he intended to force Kateria to speak. He assured her that unless she cooperated he would have to take drastic measures, but he promised to make it up to Navi afterward. Once alone with Kateria, Issei created a sound-canceling barrier to ensure their conversation remained private. He pressed her to reveal everything she knew. Kateria, angered, refused to speak, challenging him to do his worst if he wished to harm her. Issei dismissed the idea of killing her, stating it would be a waste of her potential, and he knew exactly what he needed to do. Issei tightened his grip on his chest, causing him to blush. He thought to himself that this was the only way he could get the information he needed. It wasn't the method he preferred, but it was the only one he knew that wouldn't cause harm. He began to massage the chest of the dark-haired girl, who responded with a mix of surprise and embarrassment. She pleaded for him to stop, feeling flustered and overwhelmed. Issei continued, insisting that he wouldn't cease until he got the answers he sought. The girl protested, her cheeks reddening further as she felt the tension rise. In Issei's mind, Drake commented on the situation, suggesting that Issei was doing well if he wanted to get closer to her. Confused, Issei questioned Drake's words, still focused on the girl before him. Drake explained that now, with his dragon powers fully awakened, he emitted hormones that made it difficult for weaker women to resist him. Issei, somewhat indifferent, decided to press on. The girl, still flustered, insisted she wouldn't reveal anything. Issei, frustrated, declared that he had no other choice but to use a technique he disliked. With a snap of his fingers, he activated a spell that left the girl blushing and exposed. She covered herself, shocked by his actions. Issei, serious, warned her that he would not stop until he got the truth. The girl remained defiant, stating she wouldn't say anything. Issei, feeling cornered, prepared to take drastic measures, stating that he would make her his. The girl, still embarrassed, questioned his intentions. Issei explained that this was his last resort. He didn't want to resort to such actions, but he felt he had no choice. Drake encouraged him, reminding him of the dragon instincts he now possessed. As the tension escalated, Issei made a move that left the girl startled. She felt a mix of fear and excitement, unsure of what would happen next. Issei, determined, pressed forward, insisting she would tell him what he wanted to know. The girl, feeling overwhelmed, struggled against her circumstances, but Issei was resolute. Days passed since Kuroka began living in the Hyudou residence, spending most of her time with Kaneko to help her harness her powers. She also spent time with Issei, trying to get closer to him, but Kaneko often intervened to prevent anything inappropriate from happening. One day, while everyone was having lunch in the kitchen, Issei received an unexpected call. A magical communication circle appeared near his ear, and he recognized the voice of Cerzex Lucifer. Cerzex requested Issei to come to the Gremory mansion. Issei, annoyed, questioned why he should comply, but Cerzex warned him that it was a request, not an order, and that he would face the consequences of defiance. Issei, with a smirk, expressed that he wouldn't mind facing the four Mao if it came to that. Cerzex, frustrated, insisted that he was only making a request and pleaded for Issei to accept. After a moment of contemplation, Issei agreed, but warned Cerzex that if it turned out to be a trap, there would be serious consequences. After the call ended, Kateria, visibly upset, confronted Issei about his willingness to obey Cerzex. Issei reassured her that if Cerzex tried to give him more orders, he would put him in his place. Kateria, blushing, denied any concern for him, but her demeanor suggested otherwise. Issei then declared that he would need some companions for the visit, selecting Ravel, Kaneko, Zenobia, and Kateria. Kateria protested, reminding him that she was considered a criminal. Issei explained that her status as a newcomer in the group warranted her inclusion. After a moment of hesitation, she reluctantly agreed, recalling the last time she defied Issei. Issei relaxed, feeling satisfied with his choices. Kuroka expressed her desire to join, but Issei decided to stick with his original group. "You are not," the brown-haired boy said. "Well then, I will be your new servant," Kuroka declared, surprising everyone slightly. "Are you sure? Once you do this, you will lose a certain degree of freedom," he warned, and she nodded with determination. "Very well, then you will be my second piece." With that, Issei created the ritual where Kuroka became his second piece. Afterward, he formed a magic circle that transported them to the Gremory mansion, a place Issei wished to avoid due to his past experiences with that clan. Once inside, the brown-haired boy asked, "So, Cerzex, why did you ask me to come here?" He sounded frustrated. "Well, Hayade Isay, one of the reasons is because of father," Cerzex replied just as Lord Gremory entered the room. "Hayade, I ask you to return my wife, Venolana," the older redhead said, angering Issei. "Unfortunately, I will not return her. You have caused her too much pain, and now you want her back as if she were a mere object." That is unacceptable, he stated firmly. Please, Hyade, we will give you anything, the Mao pleaded, surprising his wife, Grafia, with his desperation. Anything you ask for sounds interesting, Issei remarked, glancing at the Mao's wife. Then I ask for your wife, Grafia Lucifuge. This shocked everyone, especially Grafia, who was taken aback by what her beloved husband would say next. Very well, if this will help us recover Okasama, I will do it, the redhead agreed. Cerzex, are you really going to do this? The white-haired woman asked, both surprised and angry at her husband's decision. Yes, Grafia, the Mao replied seriously. Cerzex, you really are foolish, Issei said, annoyed. You would give up your own wife to regain a mother who feels nothing for you anymore. What do you mean, Hyudou Issei-kun? Lord Gremory asked, confused. It's simple, fool. Your wife, or rather your ex-wife, feels nothing but hatred for you because of what you did to her, Issei explained, his seriousness igniting anger in both Gremory father and son. You are mistaken. Venolana and I swore eternal love, Lord Gremory insisted, his anger rising. Eternal love? Ha ha ha. Issei laughed, joined by the others present, including Ravel and Kaneko, who felt even more disdain for the Gremory family after hearing the patriarch's words. What is so funny, Hyade Isay-kun? The redhead asked, irritated. Nothing, I just wonder if it's eternal love. Then why did you do that to your wife after believing the first foolish thing you saw? Issei retorted angrily. Perhaps I made a mistake, but Venolana, my wife, should understand, the patriarch said, further frustrating Issei. Then why don't you ask your own wife if she forgives you and wants to return, or if she prefers to stay with me? Issei challenged, and with a snap, a magic circle appeared, revealing Venolana. Venolana, you have returned to my side, Lord Gremory said, moving to embrace his wife, only to be met with a slap from her, filled with anger. Venolana, do you think I would return to you and forget everything you did because of a foolish mistake? She said, furious. But Venolana, I love you, Lord Gremory insisted, trying to embrace her again, only to receive the same result. Do not touch me, Lord Gremory. I feel nothing for you after what you did. I will never forgive you, and I will not return to you, she stated firmly and angrily. But Venolana, Lord Gremory pleaded, trying to regain his ex-wife's forgiveness. Hyudou, what have you done to my wife? Have you made her change her mind by being with her? Hey, idiot, I have never forced a woman to be with me, Issei replied, receiving an angry glare from Cat Area. Well, maybe to one woman but not to any others. If you want, check the aura of all the women and see if she emits the same energy as me, Cat Area, Zenobia, and Kaneko. With irritation, Lord Gremory examined the energy emitted by the women, and indeed, only Cat Area, Zenobia, and Kaneko shared the same energy, while Ravel, Kuroka, and Venolana did not. What? Venolana was not forced to say any of that, the Mao inquired. She confirmed that her decision was her own, expressing gratitude to Issei for allowing her to live with him without asking for anything in return. She even admitted that she had started to develop feelings for him, blushing as she glanced at him. However, Lord Gremory, nearly in tears, reminded her of the promise they had made. Venolana responded that she had forgotten that promise and regretted being with him for so long, having accepted an arranged marriage instead of seeking a man who would truly love her and never abandon her. She looked at Issei again, smiling and blushing even more. The red-haired figure declared that he would bring her back to his side, attempting to take her by force, but Issei intervened, striking him angrily. Issei then embraced Venolana, causing her to blush, and stated that she had made her choice, warning the other not to approach her again. The Mao questioned Issei about the meaning of his actions. Issei replied that anyone who approached Venolana would face dire consequences, his dragon aura flaring up behind him, instilling fear in those present. Lord Gremory, rising to his feet, insisted that he would not let Issei take her away. Issei reminded him of a time when he had nearly killed him but had refrained to avoid Venolana's hatred. He warned Lord Gremory that if he wanted to challenge him, he should start digging his own grave. Lord Gremory, refusing to back down, asserted that she was still his wife. Venolana then declared that she renounced her position as matriarch of the Gremory family and reclaimed her name, Venolana Bale. Lord Gremory scoffed at her decision, questioning who would accept a woman who left her husband for a human, claiming that only he would love her. Issei, determined, stated that he would be the one to love her, revealing that he accepted her as she was. Lord Gremory dismissed Issei's words, insisting that he was just a human and commanded Venolana to come with him. Issei, serious, countered that he was not merely human but a dragon and that dragons despised anyone who harmed those they cared about. He warned them to remain silent if they wished to live. With that, they retreated using a magic circle. Lord Gremory, filled with rage, lamented that the Hyudou Issei had taken his wife from him. He turned to his wife, Grafia, asking her what she thought of him, fearing she saw him as a disposable object. Grafia, her eyes hidden by her hair, expressed her anger and left the room after slapping him away when he tried to take her hand. Lord Gremory, frustrated, cursed the Hyudou Issei for not only taking his wife but also causing his son's relationship to suffer. He vowed that they would pay for their actions. Cerzex Lucifer echoed his sentiments, filled with anger over the turmoil the Hyudou Issei had brought upon his family. Meanwhile, Issei and the others returned to his residence through the magic circle. Issei, feeling embarrassed, apologized to Venolana for his earlier words. She reassured him, grateful for his support that had allowed her to break free from her past. Issei expressed concern that she might not find anyone else due to the demon's policies, but Venolana countered that there was someone who could still make her happy. When Issei asked who it was, she stepped closer and kissed him, revealing that it was him all along. She confessed that her heart raced for him and that his actions had shown her that there were still people who cared. Issei promised to always be by her side, to help her with anything she needed, and to protect her with his life if necessary. Venolana kissed him again, expressing her happiness. Issei then invited her to join his group, which would allow them to spend even more time together. Venolana joyfully accepted, and Issei acknowledged her immense power, noting that she was the strongest woman he had encountered thus far. The brown-haired woman declared that she was now the strongest in the Bale clan. Although inheriting the position was impossible for her, she had at least gained power and recognition as the strongest Bale. Issei contemplated what piece he could use from her, suggesting that the only options were a bishop or a pawn, but he needed something with long-range destructive power. Unfortunately, he had already used his 2 queens with Eubelula and Tiiamat, so she would have to be his 3rd bishop. Venolana agreed, and they began the ritual, which concluded successfully. As days passed, Venolana started to spend nights with Issei and the others. Surprisingly, Kateria also joined them, despite her constant denial of any feelings for him, claiming she was merely bored. Everyone soon realized she was a classic tsundere. At that moment, Issei found himself alone on the sofa, with none of his girls around except for Ravel and the former members of Razor's entourage, who had something important to share. Ravel asked if Issei was busy, to which he replied that he was not. She explained that she had spoken with the others and they wanted to apologize for how they had treated him initially. Issei reassured her, acknowledging that he had abruptly removed them from Razor's group. Carlemine, one of his knights, expressed her gratitude, stating she had never liked how Razor treated her companions. Eubelula, the purple-haired queen, admitted they had lied about their feelings to avoid Razor's wrath, revealing that he had often crossed boundaries with them. Isabella, the brown-haired tower, shared her disdain for being used as a sacrifice in the raiding games, while Burent, another pawn, lamented how they did all the work while Razor took the credit. Shualan, the second tower, noted that Razor only saw them as tools for victory, and Cirrus, the second knight, echoed that sentiment. Issei felt anger rise within him, realizing how low Razor had stooped. He promised the girls that he would never treat them as Razor had and assured them he would protect them, which made them all blush with happiness. They thanked him, expressing their hopes for his support. Issei then announced his intention to train them to increase their powers, ensuring they would never have to endure such treatment again. He smiled confidently, declaring himself their king and master, Hyudou Issei. They all agreed to this plan, and Issei led them to the basement where they could train. Days went by as Issei trained Ravel and her companions, revealing that they were stronger than they had realized. Their powers now rivaled those of a normal high-class demon, which left them astonished. Their speed, strength, magic, and resilience had improved significantly, making them 5 or 6 times stronger than when they were with Razor. Issei felt immense pride in their rapid growth. During training, Issei received a call from Azazel, interrupting their session. Azazel informed him about a meeting scheduled in 2 days in the underworld, which would involve the Nordic faction. Issei acknowledged that he was aware of the meeting and understood it was serious, as Odin wanted to see the Hyudou. Issei expressed his willingness to attend but warned that if Odin harmed any of his girls, he would face dire consequences. Azazel, sensing Issei's seriousness, agreed to relay the message to Odin. After the call ended, Venolana inquired about the conversation. Issei explained that Odin wanted to see him, and Rainier shuddered at the mention of the Nordic god, recalling past encounters where he had made inappropriate advances toward her and Kalawarner. Issei's demeanor shifted ominously as he processed this information, vowing to confront Odin if he had indeed crossed any lines with his companions. Kalawarner tried to reassure him that it had been 2 years since that incident, but Issei remained resolute in his protective stance. Seriousness filled the air as Issei decided it was time to continue their training, ensuring everyone was prepared for anything. The girls echoed their agreement, and Issei, the brown-haired youth, instructed them to train hard so they wouldn't fall behind. He then headed upstairs, promising to return shortly. Once upstairs, Ain, formerly known as Tiiamat, inquired about Issei's demeanor. He explained that in 2 days, there would be a meeting with the Nordic faction in the underworld. Ain expressed her preference for being called by her new name, and Issei acknowledged Odin's request for him to attend the meeting, admitting he had no idea what the old god wanted. He assured Ain that if anything happened to her or anyone else, he would take action. Navi, the guardian goddess, embraced Issei from behind, teasing him about his protective nature. Issei explained that as a dragon, he was naturally overprotective of those he cared about. He also warned that Odin, being a rather inappropriate old man, might try to take advantage of Navi if he saw her. Navi, radiating power, made it clear that anyone who dared to touch her would be digging their own grave. As the day of the meeting arrived, Issei donned his balance breaker armor to avoid being recognized. He entered a meeting room where Azazel, Odin, and a silver-haired Valkyrie named Rius awaited him. Although Issei felt a sense of unease from past failures, he steeled himself for the encounter. Odin greeted him with a smirk, underestimating Issei's presence. Azazel, sensing the tension, warned Odin to tread carefully, as Issei was emanating a powerful aura. Odin dismissed the warning, taunting Issei, which only fueled the young man's anger. As Issei unleashed more of his dragon power, the atmosphere shifted, causing Odin to kneel in awe. Issei revealed that his strength came from the loss of his friends to a greedy woman, a memory that weighed heavily on him. He then demanded to know why Odin had summoned him. Odin pointed out Rius, asking Issei for his opinion on her. Issei complimented her beauty, causing her to blush, and Odin lamented that she had yet to find a warrior as a partner. Rius, overwhelmed with emotion, expressed her desire for companionship, which reminded Issei of his own struggles. Odin noted that her demeanor had hindered her chances of finding a partner. Issei, feeling compelled to support her, approached Rius, lifting her hand and making her blush even more. Odin, surprised by Issei's interest, proposed that Issei consider taking Rius as his wife. Issei, taken aback, removed his helmet to better understand the situation. He confirmed that Odin had indeed suggested he take Rius as a gift from the Nordic faction. Issei turned to Rius, asking if she would agree to this arrangement. She shyly admitted that she wouldn't mind being his wife, finding him handsome. After a moment of contemplation, Issei accepted the proposal, reassured that Navi would not be upset, as she would remain his first wife as long as she kept her place. She knew that he would do this, but who would have thought that Odin would act this way, that old man? Well, Sekui, you might be wondering why I am asking you to accept her as your future wife, the god explained. When I heard that the current Security possessed great power, enough to defeat Kokobile and the current Lucifer as if they were mere insects, I was quite surprised. When I learned that you were the pillar of the union of the three Christian factions, I thought, why not give a woman to improve the relationship between our factions? I wondered who would be perfect for that, and I remembered the young Valkyrie Rosweiss, who had not found a warrior. I asked her, telling her everything you have done, and she accepted, hoping for a new chance to fall in love. So take care of her, the god said, presenting the Valkyrie in front of Issei. I will, so don't worry about that, and by the way, Issei said, a bit annoyed. What's the matter, Security? The god asked. Stop staring at the chests of my other servants, especially Kateria and Ubeluna, Issei replied with anger. The Security is very protective. Come on, you've already done it, the god said, half teasing. Of course, I have most of them marked, Issei said, still irritated. So if you could do me a favor and stop looking at their chests, I won't have to break their bones one by one. Odin, I suggest you listen to him, Azazel chimed in from the doorway. I've seen his fury with my own eyes, and you wouldn't want to fight against him. Very well, I will, Odin said, moving closer to Gregory's leader. By the way, Azazel, don't you know a good place where there are women? Oh, of course, Odin, Azazel replied with a smile. I know a great place, so let's go, I'll treat you. Odin only did this to go look for women, Rosweiss said, annoyed. Calm down, Rosweiss. He is like that, and it's impossible to change him, Issei said, a bit irritated. The meeting would take place after the presentation of the young demons, where Issei was currently with Rosweiss and her group. Fortunately for Seidii, Rias Gremory was absent due to a lack of servants, which allowed him to relax until a problem arose that he recognized. In front of him stood the high-class demons Sikvera Agars and Zepherdor Glaciolabelas, for the same reason as the first time. Luckily, he was still wearing his armor, so no one would recognize him. It seems you need some lessons, Zepherdor said arrogantly. If you want, I can teach you in bed. You need more than 1,000 years before you can speak to me like that, Sikvera Agars replied seriously, as was her nature. What did you say, virgin? He said, attempting to strike the blonde, but Issei interrupted him. I was wondering what was happening, and it was just a small fight between a rebellious idiot and a beautiful girl. I think I wasted my time, the brown-haired boy said, bored. Who the hell are you? You'd better dig your own grave, the heir said, trying to hit Issei. Idiots don't know when someone superior is in front of them, Issei said, stopping the punch with one hand and crushing it. God in you, he shouted, clutching his crushed hand. Who the hell do you think you are? I am the Security, idiot, Issei replied seriously. And stop your arrogance, or I will have to break more than just a hand. Demen it. Don't get too cocky just because you're a human with Longinus, he said, unleashing a burst of demonic power. Seriously, you're an idiot, Issei said, putting his hand in front of the attack and crushing it. Is that all you have, or do you want to die right now? Demen you, just because you're surrounded by girls, don't think too highly of yourself, he said angrily. What did you say, idiot? Issei said, appearing in front of him and gripping his head tightly. Say it again, and your tiny brain will be mush. Gah, let me go, you biggie, he cried, feeling his head being pressed slowly. I will gladly do it, Issei said, releasing his grip and striking him in the abdomen, sending him crashing through the wall effortlessly. Know your place, idiot. Or you don't seem like a normal demon, Sikvera said seriously. I am the Security, and I am not a demon, I am a dragon. It's a pleasure to meet you, heir of the Agars clan, Sikvera Agars, he said, gently caressing her cheek, making her blush. Lazy behave, Ain said, hitting him on the head. I'm sorry. It's the dragon hormones. Drag has a hard time controlling them, Issei said, embarrassed. Well, see you later, Sikvera. But I see you later, she said, blushing and looking away, thinking about why she felt nervous just from that simple interaction. She pondered, blushing, while Issei moved to where he had thrown the knocked-out demon, with a group trying to help him. Wow, what a weakling, Issei said, bored. Hey, you did that? A man behind him asked, which Issei recognized. And what if I did, Sarorgbale? Issei said, turning to look at the dark-haired man. And to think that the security would know me, the dark-haired man said, turning to glance at a certain brown-haired girl. "Aunt, what are you doing here?" "Hello, Cerzex. It's been a while," Venolana said as she embraced the dark-haired young man. "When I heard what my uncle did, I was quite upset, but I see you're all right," he remarked, releasing his aunt. "Yes, it was all thanks to Security, who helped me," she replied, holding onto the brown-haired young man's arm. "That's right, I rescued her and have been helping her, so don't worry, I'll protect her with my life," he declared. "I see. After what my uncle did, I thought my aunt would never love again, but it seems she has found someone who cares for her," Cerzex said with a smile. "And especially someone who put those who hurt her in their place, so Security, take care of my aunt." "Of course, you don't need to worry about that," he said, extending his arm to fist bump Cerzex. "Well, I'll be off." "Take care, Aunt," Cerzex said as he bid farewell. "Thank you, Issei, for everything you've done for me," Venolana said happily. "Don't mention it, Venolana. You know I'll love you with all my heart," Issei replied, removing his helmet and kissing Venolana. "But tell me, I'm much older than you, and yet you love me," she teased, making Issei laugh. "It's just that you're actually quite young. Tiamat and Navi are much older than either of us, but I love them too," he said as the Dragon Queen drew closer, clinging to his arm. "Wow, so Security has a harem," the Valkyrie said nervously. "That's right, but don't worry, I care for all of them," he said with a smile. "Now let's see how the meeting for the treaty between the factions is going." With that, Issei left with his entourage and Rius. Meanwhile, in another location, specifically in Ko City at the Occult Club, Rias was furious about everything Hyudou Issei had done. "TSK, that guy keeps ruining my plans. What can I do to get back at that idiot?" Rias fumed. "I would do anything to take revenge on that JRK. "Oh, is that so, Rius Gremory?" a man said, putting Rias on guard. "Calm down, I won't harm you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rizavim Levon Lucifer, son of the true Mao and a key member of Kao's brigade. If you want revenge, join me and you can have it." "Oh really? And tell me, what do you want in return?" Rias asked. "That we'll see in due time," he said, stroking the red-haired girl's body. "Oh, and not only will you have me, but also 2 other girls if you let me join you," Rias said seductively. "Well, it's a deal. I have fun and increase my lineage and you gain power," the albino said with a smile. "Sounds good to me. Akino Asia, meet your new master," she said, and both appeared, starting to caress the albino. "Looks like I wasn't wrong. Not only did I get the sister of the false Mao, but also the daughter of Betrayal and an ex-saint. This is going to get interesting," he said, disappearing in a magic circle with the 3 girls. To be continued. What did you think? Before starting the chapter, I wrote it in 1 day, so if you don't like it, I apologize. This chapter is for the 2,500 views. Later, I'll upload the one for the 30 followers. Setting that aside, let's begin this chapter, where I'll show how Rias is a schemer and how Cerzex is starting to lose respect. At that moment, the meeting between the Christian faction and the Nordic faction was taking place, but just as they were about to reach an agreement. "Very well, Odin, if you have no objections to the union, please say so," Mao Cerzex said. "I have no objections," the god replied. "I oppose this nonsense," someone said, stepping out of a portal to reveal himself. "Loki, what brings you to interrupt?" Odin asked. "I'm sorry, father, but I refuse to let our beliefs unite with those of inferior beings," Loki said seriously. "So I will put an end to this foolishness myself." "I have to stop this," Rius said, trying to intervene, but she was halted by the brown-haired young man. "Hey, Security, what's going on?" "I'll handle this," he replied. "And call me Issei," Rius. With that, he soared toward the god of mischief, Loki, who looked down at him with superiority. "Hey, who are you?" Loki asked, noticing the dragon armor. "Oh, so you're Security, a mere human or reincarnated demon daring to stand before me, a god." "I'm sorry, Loki, but I can't allow anyone to interrupt this meeting, especially not someone who joined Kao's brigade," Issei said, surprising several attendees. "Oh, so the inferior Security knows quite a bit, but even if you know that, you will be eliminated by me," a god, he declared, unleashing a burst of power toward Issei. So disappear. I'm sorry, Loki, but you'll need to do more than that to defeat me, Issei replied, shattering the attack. Oh, so the inferior Hyudou opposes a god. Very well, my son can play with you, Loki said, summoning a bolt of lightning to the ground. Come forth, my son Fenrir. With that, a massive wolf over 10 meters tall emerged from the explosion, Fenrir, the wolf with the deadly bite for gods. Oh, if you're bringing out your pet, I'll do the same, Loki, Issei said, snapping his fingers. Come, Byakko. A magic circle appeared, from which the white tiger Byakko emerged. Oh, so you have Byakko at your command, but it's useless against Fenrir, Loki said arrogantly. Fenrir, finish him. Byakko, you know what to do, Issei commanded, unleashing several boosted wyverns. Finish him, Byakko. Joey, the white tiger roared, surrounded by the wyverns as several boost and transfer effects made its rays turn red. Byakko and Fenrir, finish him. Issei and the god Loki shouted in unison. With a fierce roar, both charged at each other. Issei, with a serious expression, challenged Loki, stating that they should stop fighting and face him instead. Loki, smirking, dismissed Issei's confidence, mocking the idea that his inferior Byakko could defeat his son Fenrir. Issei retorted, asserting that Byakko could overcome anything, even Loki's son. The tiger, fueled by red lightning, let out a powerful roar as it charged at Fenrir, colliding with the wolf in a dramatic clash. Loki, furious at the defeat of his son, declared that he would not forgive this and vowed to destroy Hyudou that day. Issei, undeterred, warned Loki not to regret his actions as he soared at high speed toward the god, calling for Drake to give him a boost. With a surge of energy, Drake responded, enhancing Issei's speed. Issei then unleashed a powerful attack, striking Loki in the face with a move known as Dragon Knuckle. Loki acknowledged the hit but claimed it was insufficient, preparing to unleash a massive sphere of energy. Issei, determined, increased his power, activating his divine arm of dragon. With a burst of speed, he charged directly at Loki's attack, shattering it in half and obliterating the threat. Issei stood tall, challenging Loki further, questioning if that was all he had. The brown-haired individual smiled and expressed his determination to make the infamous Hyudou pay. He conjured a magical circle from which a powerful bolt of energy emerged, declaring his intent to end the confrontation. With a deep breath, he prepared to counter Loki's attack. As he struck the bolt back with greater force, Loki barely managed to shield himself with a magical barrier that strained under the impact. The brown-haired fighter unleashed his own attack, launching it towards the god, who effortlessly halted it with a single hand. The fighter, undeterred, summoned an even greater force, a massive blast that sent Loki crashing to the ground. Despite the setback, Loki remained defiant, insisting that their battle was far from over. However, the Mauajuka intervened, sealing Loki temporarily and declaring the fight concluded. Issei acknowledged the situation, indicating his intention to leave and requesting to be informed when Loki was free again. The majestic tiger, Byakko, roared before vanishing in a magical circle. Odin, the god, questioned Issei's departure, to which Issei replied that he had only stayed for this encounter. Cerzex, another Mao, interrupted, prompting Issei to express his annoyance at the interruption. Cerzex inquired if Issei had foreseen Loki's attack, to which Issei casually admitted a sense of foreboding. The tension escalated as Cerzex accused Issei of bringing misfortune to the demons. Issei laughed off the accusation, countering that Cerzex's sister was the one causing trouble. Cerzex defended his sister, claiming she had done nothing to tarnish their family's name. The playful banter continued, with Issei accepting a wager that would grant him the favor of 2 demon women, including Sona Satiri and Sikvera Agars, should he win. As the stakes were raised, Cerzex revealed that he believed Issei's sister had betrayed them. Issei confidently asserted that he had proof, producing a large screen that displayed a video of Rius Gremory willingly accompanying Risavim, a member of the Cows Brigade. The revelation shocked everyone present, including Cat Area, who vehemently denied ever submitting for power. Doubts arose about Kateria's loyalty, but Issei silenced the naysayers, asserting that she would face severe consequences if she lied. The atmosphere grew tense as Issei pressed Cerzex to uphold his wager. Cerzex, skeptical, dismissed the video as a fabrication. Issei challenged him to call Rius, asserting that if she answered, it would confirm his claims. When Cerzex contacted Rius, her breathless responses left everyone stunned. The situation escalated as Risavim's voice cut through, mocking Cerzex and further humiliating him. With the confrontation concluded, Issei prepared to leave, tossing 2 magical papers to Sona and Sikvera for their future use. As Issei departed, the Mao Serafal expressed her anger towards Cerzex for betting on her sister. She hoped Issei would protect Rius, believing him to be a far better man than Cerzex. Frustrated, Serafal stormed off, leaving Cerzex in shock and Grafia increasingly resentful of her husband. Back at the Hyudou residence, Venolana confronted Issei about Rias' actions, her disappointment evident. Issei had not shared everything with them yet, but he decided it was time. He looked at Rosweiss and asked them to keep it a secret. They agreed, and he began to reveal the truth, surprising them, especially Rosweiss, when he mentioned that he had been killed by Rius. After finishing his story, he felt a mix of emotions. The albino girl expressed her belief in Issei but asked if he had any proof. Issei explained that Drake had something, but just recalling it filled him with anger and frustration. He requested Drake to show them the video that marked the beginning of his hatred for Rius. Drake warned them that what they were about to see would be intense. The video revealed Rius and her group, showcasing the events that led to Issei's feelings of animosity. Rosweiss felt anger at Rius's actions, but also relief in knowing that her other self had died in the arms of someone she loved. The revelation left everyone stunned, realizing that the person they cared for was tormented by memories of his greatest mistake. Ain, also known as Tiiamat, questioned the truth of Issei's words. He confirmed that he relived the moment every time he slept, but he was determined to move on once he saved everyone, including Lefei Pendragon, Yasaka and her daughter, and finally Sona and her group. He expressed his desire to protect them from the harm Rius could inflict, recalling how deeply affected he was by Rosweiss' demise, especially since it was Rius who caused it. Issei vowed that Rius would pay for her actions. Rainier, feeling sorrow for Issei, acknowledged the unforgivable nature of Rius's betrayal. Issei, filled with anger, insisted that he was to blame for having loved and trusted her. However, he was now ready for revenge, especially since Rius was at Cow's Bridge, where he believed he could finally make her pay. Rainier embraced him, offering support as they planned for the future. Issei assured them that he would protect them no matter the cost, and his feelings for them had only grown stronger. The girls expressed their love for him, promising to stand by him through everything. Issei acknowledged their feelings, assuring them that he would protect them all, even if they didn't feel much for him yet. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Cerzex seethed with anger towards Issei, feeling humiliated by him. He cursed Issei, believing he was trying to make a fool of him, the Mao who deserved respect. He vowed that Issei would pay for everything he had done to him and his innocent sister, Rius. Unbeknownst to him, his wife, Grafia Lucifuge, observed him with concern, reflecting on how much he had changed and how it mirrored his father's behavior. She contemplated distancing herself from him, fearing that the love she once had might fade away. Elsewhere, in a hidden mansion known only to a few, Risavim, the son of the original Lucifer, spoke with Rius, Aquino and Asia, who sought vengeance against Issei. Risavim inquired about the power they desired, and Rius promised that if he helped them achieve their revenge, they would be his. Risavim agreed to assist them in eliminating Issei, smiling at the prospect of having them by his side. As they prepared to move forward with their plans, the tension in the air was palpable, and the stage was set for the battles to come. Issei was walking through Ko with Navi, who had decided to accompany him as he stepped out, cleverly hiding his horns and wearing a striking blood-red dress paired with black shoes. Issei himself wore black jeans, a black shirt, and a blood-red jacket, complemented by black sneakers. As they strolled through Ko Park, they encountered someone Issei had a strong dislike for, Kiba Yudo, the Gremory Knight. Kiba appeared to be in dire straits, with several deep cuts across his body and a significant wound on his stomach that hindered his movement. Upon seeing him, Issei was taken aback but couldn't help but smile. Issei remarked, noting Kiba's condition, that it seemed his friend had fallen on hard times. Kiba, filled with anger, retorted that Issei's concern was none of his business. Issei, still amused, pointed out that it was indeed his concern, as he didn't like seeing a friend in such a state. Kiba shot back, expressing his desire to retaliate against Issei for his taunts. Issei, with a grin, acknowledged that the feeling was mutual but hinted that Kiba possessed something valuable to him. The blonde was interrupted by Issei, who remarked that the sacred gear, sword birth, would be useful to one of his girls. He instructed Navi to call Rainier and have her go to the old church to prepare for the extraction of the sacred gear. Navi complied, creating a magical circle at her ear to summon the Detenshi Rainier. The blonde, still struggling to stand, protested that he would rather die than let Issei give his sacred gear to any of his girls. Issei, filled with contempt, kicked the blonde back down and pressed on his wound, expressing his deep hatred for him and his desire to end his life quickly, especially after the blonde had insulted his girls. The blonde cried out in pain, blaming Issei for his beloved Rius abandoning him. Issei coldly responded that it was not his fault that Rius had cast him aside for someone more powerful. He added that he would grant the blonde a quick death after the extraction. Navi confirmed that all the girls had arrived at the old church, eager to witness the extraction and see who would receive the sacred gear. Issei assured them that the blonde would indeed die, as he was useless even to the one who had saved his life. He kicked the blonde again, revealing him to be Kiba Hyudou, the former servant of Rius Gremory. Kiba, in a desperate plea, called out to Venolana, hoping for her help and reminding her of his loyalty to her daughter. Venolana coldly acknowledged him but stated that he was merely a pest to be eradicated. She unleashed a small amount of destructive power, causing Kiba to cough up blood. Kiba, in agony, questioned why she was doing this after he had always protected Rius. Venolana reiterated her hatred for all Gremories, including her daughter, and declared her love for Issei. If Issei wanted Kiba dead, then she wanted the same. Issei then declared it was time for the extraction, and Rainier nodded in agreement. He instructed that since Zenobia already had Durandal, it was up to Carmine and Cirrus to decide who would take sword birth. The two girls quickly began to argue over it until a decision was reached. Carmine announced that she would take the sword birth from Kiba. Issei agreed, stating that it was decided, and it was time to proceed with the extraction. As the process began, Kiba suffered greatly, feeling his sacred gear being pulled from him. After several minutes, the extraction was complete, leaving Kiba nearly unconscious, while Rainier held what appeared to be the hilt of a sword. Rainier presented the sword birth to Issei, who then called Carmine over, assuring her that she would make good use of her new sacred gear. Carmine accepted it, and with a small flash, she created a demonic sword, claiming her ownership of sword birth. Issei regarded it as a gift from him, leaning in to give her a brief kiss that left her and her companions blushing. Kiba, in his final moments, cursed Issei, wishing for his death and for harm to come to the girls. Issei, however, declared that he had already died twice and had no intention of dying a third time. He revealed his boosted gear and drove the blade of Ascalon into Kiba's skull, ensuring he would never harm anyone again. As Kiba vanished into dark particles, Issei remarked that it was one less pest to worry about. He turned to Kaneko, asking if she still felt any affection for him. Kaneko replied that after what Rias had done to her, she felt nothing but hatred, and she had wanted to kill Kiba for what he had done to Issei. Issei comforted her, assuring her that she could handle Asia Argento on her own. Kuroka chimed in, offering her assistance as well. Issei then declared it was time to leave, suggesting they might never return to this place again. He created a portal, instructing the girls to follow him. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Cerzex Lucifer was destroying his office in a fit of rage over Issei's actions. His reputation as a Mao had plummeted overnight, driving him to madness as he lashed out at everything around him, cursing the security. Since that wretched being appeared, my life has been shattered. First, he humiliated me and caused me to lose an arm. He took my mother away, made my sister leave for the Cow's Bridge, and finally, he made me look like a fool in front of those who should love and respect me. What more will you take from me, you cursed Bakemono? The mouse seethed with fury. Father, please stop being angry, pleaded Cerzex's son. Don't bother, Milikas. You don't know what it's like to be humiliated by those who should respect you, he replied harshly. Please, father, be like you were before, the red-haired boy cried. I want to play with you and mother. Stop crying, you little brat, the mouse snapped, striking his son and sending him crashing against the wall. Grafia, who had been watching from behind the door, was shocked by her husband's actions. I don't want to see a child crying and begging for foolishness. Cerzex, what is wrong with you? Why are you attacking Milikas, your own son? Grafia asked, concern etched on her face. The son? He is of no use in my quest for vengeance. Besides, if you are with me, I can make you have many more, so losing one makes no difference, the red-haired man said with hatred in his eyes. Cerzex, what happened to the caring and kind man I fell in love with? Why have you changed? She asked sternly. Why would you do this to your own son over something so trivial? Grafia, that is life. People change, and I changed because of Hyudou, who has humiliated me, a Mao who should be respected and revered, the Mao said angrily. And if you care so much about that brat, I will stop making him suffer. With that, the red-haired man unleashed a sphere of destructive power toward his son, ending his life instantly and infuriating Grafia. See, Grafia? He has stopped suffering, just as you wanted. He will never suffer again, he laughed. So do not worry about the death of that useless child. Soon, you will carry another child of mine. Cerzex, what you have done is unforgivable, she said, her eyes filled with anger and tears. What has happened to you to do this to your own son? Why did you kill him? He was simply a nuisance, as I said, the red-haired man replied, channeling destructive power into his hand and pointing it at Grafia. So obey me, or you will face the consequences. Cerzex, I once loved you, but after what you have done, I only feel hatred toward you, Grafia said, mirroring his stance but summoning a massive amount of ice. Come on, Grafia, I know you can't attack me, the mouse said with a smile, causing her to lower her hand. But I can. With that, Cerzex unleashed a torrent of demonic power at the albino, forcing her to shield herself with a wall of ice. However, it was not enough, and the wall shattered, sending her crashing against the wall and injuring her significantly. You see? It is impossible for you to defeat me, he taunted, launching another sphere of destructive power, but she created another ice wall. That won't work again. In that moment, the albino was struck by a powerful electric shock from the piece within her, leaving her nearly unconscious, her clothing torn and her body wounded. You see, Grafia? You cannot defeat me while you carry one of my evil pieces. I can control you at will, he said with a smile. So you will be mine for all your life. Why, Cerzex? Why have you changed? Grafia thought, watching in terror as her husband prepared one final blow to leave her unconscious. Someone, please help me. Meanwhile, at the Hyudou residence, as if by magic, the brown-haired Hayade Isay felt a chill run down his spine. Hey, Drag, what was that I just felt? He asked the sealed dragon. Your dragon instincts are warning you. Something is happening to someone important, the red dragon replied. I felt this twice before, once when everything started, again with Venolana, and now who? Issei questioned. Issei, who were the only ones that still believed in you when the betrayal occurred, and whom you held dear? Venolana asked. The only ones who always believed in me were you and Grafia, which is why I hold them in high regard, Issei said. Then it is possible that Grafia is in trouble. A dragon's instincts can predict the future of someone important, Drake said seriously. Are you sure? Issei asked. Without a doubt, Drake confirmed. Well, I'll go check, Issei said, creating a portal. If she is in trouble, she is likely at the Lucifer mansion, so I'll be back soon. With that, Issei stepped through the portal and appeared outside the mansion, sensing a fight within. Don't tell me that Cerzex has gone mad, he thought. Balance breaker, he declared, summoning his armor. He flew at maximum speed, breaking through walls until he reached the scene where Cerzex had attacked Grafia, igniting Issei's anger. "What are you doing here, Security?" the Mao asked, annoyed. "Can't you see I'm showing love to my wife, and you are interrupting? Is that love?" Issei was furious as he confronted Cerzex. He demanded to know why the devil had harmed his own wife. Cerzex, with a chilling laugh, revealed that Grafia was upset because he had taken their son's life right before her eyes. He had even told her that he would give her more children once he finished his business. Issei's anger boiled over as he called Cerzex a despicable man. He summoned Draig's power, ready to unleash his fury. With a fierce determination, he appeared before the red-haired devil and struck him with a punch fueled by rage. Cerzex staggered back, blood spilling from his mouth as he pleaded for his life, begging Issei not to kill him. Issei, disgusted by Cerzex's cowardice, kicked him in the face, causing even more blood to flow. He approached Grafia, cradling her in a bridal style, and assured her that she would be safe. Grafia, barely conscious, managed to utter Issei's name. He promised her that everything would be all right, but then turned back to Cerzex, declaring that it was time to end his pathetic existence. Cerzex, trembling in fear, begged for mercy, but Issei's contempt only grew. He charged energy into his left arm while still holding Grafia, but just as he was about to strike, Grafia intervened, pleading with him not to kill Cerzex. She warned that such an act would lead to a feudal peace and spark a new war, causing her to faint. Reluctantly, Issei agreed to spare Cerzex, acknowledging that Grafia had saved him from making a grave mistake. As he turned to leave, Cerzex, desperate, launched a destructive energy ball at him. Issei, infuriated by the sneak attack, retaliated with a powerful burst of energy, shattering Cerzex's other arm. With a smirk, Issei took to the skies, creating a portal that transported him back to his home, where Rainier and the others awaited. He placed Grafia on a couch and instructed Rainier to heal her. Rainier quickly got to work, using her healing abilities on Grafia. Issei reassured Venolana that Cerzex would never harm Grafia again. Meanwhile, in another location, the original Lucifer's son was conversing with Ophis, a girl with an emotionless gaze. He suggested that Ophis should eliminate the Security, who was trying to prevent her from defeating the Great Red and returning home. Ophis agreed, disappearing to fulfill her mission. The albino chuckled, confident that the Security would no longer be a problem. Back at Issei's home, he was anxious as Rainier treated Grafia, who had been attacked by Cerzex. The evil pieces had prevented her from defending herself, but Issei had intervened just in time, destroying Cerzex's last arm and instilling fear in him. Rainier assured Issei that Grafia would recover with some rest, and he expressed his gratitude. He turned to Venolana, asking her to take care of Grafia, knowing she would keep her safe. Venolana promised to return the favor, as Grafia had once saved her. Issei planned to take Grafia to her room and insisted that she be watched over, especially with the threat of Cerzex still looming. They discussed who would stay behind to guard Grafia, and Issei suggested that Navi could remain to protect her. The brown-haired man inquired, and she appeared from a portal. It was true, the goddess always knew when he was nearby. He smiled as he acknowledged her presence, stating that she was Navi, better known as Shikigami, the guardian goddess of dimensions. She would be more than sufficient to watch over Grafia. Navi confirmed her commitment, embracing the brown-haired man and asserting her position as his wife and the first to have him, demanding respect for her place. The brown-haired man smiled at her possessiveness, then turned to Rosweiss, expressing his desire for her to join his group. Rosweiss agreed, stating her intention to always be by his side and help him. The brown-haired man acknowledged her usefulness as a knight but mentioned he already had someone for that role, so he would assign her the piece of a rook instead. Rosweiss affirmed her readiness, and the brown-haired man declared it was time to begin the ritual. As the ritual commenced, she transformed into the final rook of his chess pieces. He noted that once Grafia awakened, they would discuss everything with her. Rosweiss then asked if she could pose a question. The brown-haired man encouraged her to speak freely. She inquired if Navi-sama also possessed a piece of his. The brown-haired man dismissed the idea, explaining that it was impossible for her to have one since he would need to use all his pieces to make her his servant. Understanding dawned on Rius as she processed the information, leading her to wonder if that meant she was now half-demon. The albino asked about the pieces, noting that they were different. The brown-haired boy explained that these pieces transformed anyone who possessed them into a half-dragon, enhancing all their attributes, strength, magic, and speed. He smiled as he added that now she was half-dragon, just like everyone else, except for Ain, who had been a dragon long before he met her. The Valkyrie understood and acknowledged this. The boy continued, mentioning that Ain was known as the Dragon Queen Tiiamat, but to avoid suspicion and to show that she was on the side of Hyudou, he called her Ain, a name she liked. The boy then remarked that Sona would arrive soon, and as if he had predicted the future, she appeared through a portal, accompanied by Tsubaki. He greeted them, noting that Tsubaki would be living with Sona. Sona, serious in demeanor, asked if there was a problem. The boy reassured her that there was none and that it was better this way, as they would be safer from Rias Gremory and her unpredictable brother, Cerzex. Sona inquired why he held such animosity toward Mal Lucifer. The boy explained that it was a long story he wouldn't share at the moment, but he mentioned that Cerzex had lost his mind after enduring so much humiliation from him. Sona was puzzled and asked for clarification. The boy revealed that Cerzex had recently killed his own son and attacked Graphia Lucifuge, which shocked the two girls. Sona, incredulous, struggled to believe that Cerzex could commit such acts. The boy insisted it was true and reminded her of what Rius had done. Sona recalled the events that led her to live in the Hyudou residence and asked where Graphia was. The boy replied that she was resting in one of the rooms, having suffered a punishment from Cerzex. Concerned, Sona realized that Graphia was in serious condition. The boy confirmed that she would be unconscious for several days and shared that he understood the pain of such an experience. Sona, intrigued, asked what he meant. The boy stated that his anger toward the person who caused him pain was immense. Sona expressed her surprise at his resilience, to which he explained that he had endured it due to the pressure of releasing a significant amount of power, which had caused him to lose consciousness. Curious, Sona asked how much power he was talking about. He described that when he unleashed it he was very weak, yet the power was enough to defeat a dragon king, astonishing both girls. Sona praised him, noting his impressive feats, including defeating high-class demons without using his boosted gear and battling alongside the god Loki. The boy smiled, acknowledging that his power was even greater now and that Cerzex had become ineffective as a Mao. Sona, confused, sought clarification. He explained that when she next saw Cerzex, he would be terrified of him. Sona, intrigued, asked what he had done to the Mao. The boy shared that he had merely given him a few blows, causing Cerzex to cry and lose control. He chuckled at the memory. Sona questioned his motives, and he simply stated that a dragon despises anyone who harms their loved ones. Reassuring her, he promised that he would protect both her and Tsubaki from anyone who wished to harm them. After a while, the hours passed, and Ajuka Beelzebub contacted him, informing him that Loki was about to break free from his seal. The boy prepared alongside Sona and her entourage to confront the evil god, but not before Odin provided him with Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, as he wanted Loki to remain alive. They found themselves on the outskirts of the underworld, in abandoned mines where Loki was breaking the seal. The malevolent god expressed his frustration at Ajuka Beelzebub for interrupting him and recognized Hyudou and his friends as they approached to stop him. The boy confidently declared that he could easily stop Loki if he used all his power, but he knew Loki would not want to fight. Loki acknowledged his cleverness, revealing that he was indeed the god of mischief. He summoned his monstrous children, Hati, Skoll, and Midgardsormr. The boy smiled, noting that while Loki had impressive pets, he had something even more formidable. He called forth Byakko the white tiger, which roared fiercely, angering Loki. The god furiously confronted the boy, realizing he had summoned the one who had slain his son Fenrir. The boy responded, questioning whether Midgardsormr was the real one or merely a copy. The brown-haired boy surprised Loki with his question. Loki smiled and acknowledged that the Hyudou was indeed clever, revealing that the dragon was a copy, but nearly as powerful as the real one. The boy then looked at Ain, who stepped forward when he mentioned her name, and encouraged her to face the copy of the Dragon King, expressing his trust in her to demonstrate the true power of a Dragon King. Ain confidently declared that she would handle it, transforming into a massive blue dragon. Loki, taken aback, remarked on her power, recognizing her as Tiiamat, the strongest dragon queen, and questioned why she would ally with the Red Emperor Dragon. The boy smiled and replied that things had changed. She was now on his side. He instructed Sona and the other girls to deal with Hayade and Skoll while supporting Ain, as she was up against a formidable opponent. The girls responded in unison, affirming their readiness. Sona asked the boy if he could handle Loki, to which he confidently assured her that it would be no problem. With determination, he activated his balance breaker, and the voice of Draig resonated, activating the armor of the Red Emperor Dragon. He urged Sona to finish things quickly as she nodded and left with her group. He commanded Byakko to take down Hayade or Skoll, emphasizing it was an order. With that, Issei unleashed several wyverns that surrounded the tiger, amplifying its power and causing it to unleash red lightning. With a smile, he declared that he would also give it his all, activating his most powerful armor, which radiated a power that shook the ground and unsettled Loki. The boy appeared before the god, vowing to finish him off quickly with a powerful strike. Loki screamed in pain as the boy's attack sent him crashing to the ground, filled with rage and vowing revenge. Loki retaliated with a massive surge of energy, far more powerful than anything unleashed at the meeting. The boy scoffed at Loki's efforts, launching a counterattack that buried the god beneath a wave of energy. He felt he might have gone a bit overboard but dismissed it, preparing for his final blow. He soared at high speed, delivering a devastating strike that left Loki incapacitated. With a sense of finality, the boy brandished Mjolnir, declaring it was time to seal Loki away for a long time. He channeled his power into Mjolnir and struck Loki, sealing him effectively. He then commanded Byakko to finish off the remaining foes, and the white tiger roared, unleashing a torrent of red lightning that swiftly overwhelmed Hayade and Skoll, eliminating them instantly before retreating. The boy observed Ain, now in dragon form, dismantling the copy of Midgard's armor, and chuckled at the situation, noting that the girls had also handled their tasks. Just as he was about to join the girls, he was suddenly knocked to the ground by an unseen force, igniting his anger. Looking up, he saw Ophis Ouroboros, realizing the gravity of the situation. Ophis coldly stated that she would not allow him to prevent her return home. Confused, the boy questioned why he was still alive after her attack, to which Draig explained that his new form granted him greater resilience. Determined, the boy challenged Ophis, stating that if she believed he would let her return without a fight, she would have to face him first. Ophis accepted his challenge, and he launched himself at her with a powerful strike, only for her to effortlessly block it. Realizing that his attack was futile against a goddess, he acknowledged her strength. Ophis threw him to the ground, creating a powerful explosion that shook the area. Despite the odds, he resolved not to give up easily, recognizing her as the dragon goddess of infinity. He contemplated the manipulations of Ryzavim, suspecting that Ophis was involved in a larger scheme. Ophis taunted him about his persistence and suggested that she might eliminate his companions to ensure her return to the dimensional rift. She unleashed a powerful attack aimed at Sona's group, prompting the boy to react swiftly. He soared into the air, determined to protect his friends, and activated his hyperjet, increasing his speed exponentially to intercept the attack. With urgency, he created a shield around his allies, bracing for the impact of Ophis's power. The shield began to crack under the pressure, but he urged it to hold, desperate not to lose anyone again. As he managed to withstand the attack, he surprised Ophis with his resilience, ready to continue the fight. Having lost important people in his life, the brown-haired boy vowed never to let that happen again. He would protect them all, even if it cost him his life, for no one should harm them. If they did, he would ensure they faced dire consequences. His determination made everyone blush, including the blonde Satiri, as he declared that it didn't matter if he had to confront gods, he would stop them all, swearing by his life as Hyudou Issei. The goddess floated nearby, feigning a relaxed demeanor as she smiled. She found him intriguing, addressing him as Draig rather than Hyudou Issei. She asked why he wanted to prevent her from returning home. He insisted that he would stop her return because Rias was using her. The goddess revealed that he had promised to help her return home if she assisted him. The boy countered, saying it was a lie. Rias was only manipulating her. He extended his hand, inviting her to join him for a chance at happiness, even without returning to the dimensional rift. He promised a peaceful life where no one would demand anything from her. She hesitated, contemplating his offer before ultimately accepting his hand, expressing her trust in him due to their similar energy. He felt relieved but soon began to faint, losing his armor and collapsing to the ground. The others rushed to his side, lifting him up in concern. Draig reassured them that his partner was merely exhausted after creating a barrier for their protection. Without it, they would have perished, and he could not bear the guilt of their deaths as he truly cared for them. Ophis admitted that she had only used about 30% of her power, surprising everyone present. She noted that he was the first to withstand so much, finding him genuinely interesting. Draig praised Issei as the best host he had ever had and suggested they leave quickly to avoid unexpected visitors. As they departed through a magical circle, elsewhere in Rias's castle, an old man observed a video captured by secret drones, showcasing Issei's battles against Loki and Ophis. He noted that Hyudou was quite strong and would become a hindrance to his plans. He decided to ask Hades for Samuel's assistance to deal with him. Meanwhile, in a hospital within Lucifer's territory, Mouse Cerzex was in a bad state and seething with anger. He cursed Hyudou, vowing that he would pay for what he had done. He instructed Ajuka to mark Hyudou as a criminal, promising a fortune to anyone who could eliminate him. Ajuka complied, leaving to carry out the order. Cerzex laughed maniacally, reveling in his desire for revenge against Hyudou for all the trouble he had caused. To be continued. The voting results were in favor of Murayama, Kates, and Kiryu Aika joining the entourage, with a unanimous decision. They would receive sacred gear in the form of swords, while Kiryu's gift would be determined later. A follower requested a vote on additional characters: Hanakai Momo, Ruruko Nimura, Rei Kusaka, and Tomo Meguri. Although only the first two were suggested, the decision was made to include all for voting. The audience was also invited to decide on Penemu, the most beautiful and powerful cadre, and Gabriel, the most beautiful and powerful angel. The choices were theirs to make.